also Pir Panjal, the passes are open because there hardly any snow take place there, and the infiltration can take place, and therefore this can be handiwork of the Jaise Mohammed terrorists, which are able to sneak in this area, strike, and then try to merge with the population because the local support is still there, and that is what happened last month when this operation
continued. The local
continued
support
for 9
and the
days.
manner in which the agencies or the authorities have cracked down upon the terror nexus. That's one aspect. Major General S.P. Sinha, I hope you're still with us on the broadcast. We also have Major General K.K. Sinha, who continues to be with us on the show. Let me try and cut across to him. Major General Sinha, the present government, and as I earlier mentioned, after the abrogation of Article 370, there has been a special focus on the security situation within the valley in the Jammu area to ensure that overground and underground workers who support terror activities in any sense are nabbed, taken action against. The government has rather adopted a very strict approach. The last fight is still not over as far as the situation in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, but the terror-related incidents have come down. Each time a precious life is lost, each time an incident of this nature happens, it's time for us to introspect and see what is it that we can do better to fight this terror battle in Jammu and Kashmir. Major General Sinha. All right, we'll try and connect to Major General Sinha. Major General A.K. Sivach, I hope you can hear me, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sir, that's the point, if you can talk about that in the spirit of introspection, in the spirit of understanding what is happening in Jammu and Kashmir, as you rightly said, these are precious lives that have been lost. What kind of support do these terror elements still have from within Jammu and Kashmir?
You know, there are sports which is available in south of Kashmir, and in fact, south of Pir Panjal, there are this area. Poonch here, then, you know, the terrorism was at the very low ebb. The main focus of the security forces was also in Kashmir Valley, where the terrorism was there and it has been wiped out. Now, as far as Pakistan is concerned, it will try to activate those areas which were lying dormant. Now, Rajouri Poonch area is very close to, the line of control. Second thing is, also there is a thick vegetation. Infiltration is easier. They strike and they can go back. And third thing is, there is a public sport, there is a local sport available. There are overground workers and sleeper travel functioning. And that's how this is happening. So therefore, we need to focus now in this Poonch Rajouri area now more, because Pakistan will try its best to create a sort of a problem now when the SCO meeting and G20 meeting taking place. Remember, there is a G20 meeting taking place in Srinagar. We want to show to the world that as on today, that the total normalcy has come in Jammu and Kashmir.
I think, sir, that's a very valid point that you're making, that this is an attempt to show that all the attempts by the government of India have failed. That's what the terrorist element want to make a point. But they'll fail in all these attempts, because this is a fight that India will continue to take on till the last. This is for greater peace and stability in Jammu and Kashmir. This is a dastardly terror attack that has happened on army. 5 of our Jawans have lost their life. Raksha Mantri has already been spoken to. The army chief has apprised him of the situation. One soldier has been injured. He's been taken to a nearby hospital. Latest details here on CNN News 18. My colleague Tejinder Singh Sodhi also with us on the broadcast. Tejinder, tell us, what are the details you're picking up from the ground?
Yes, you see, initially it was believed that it was a natural lightning that had fallen on the vehicle, which led to the fire and the martyrdom of 5 of our brave hearts. But now the army has issued an official statement wherein they have said that around 1500 hours, one army vessel which was moving between Dimber Gully and Poonch in the Rajouri sector was fired upon by unidentified terrorists, and taking advantage of the heavy rain and low visibility, the vehicle caught fire due to likely use of grenades by the terrorists. 5 personnel of the Rashtriya Rifle unit, which is deployed for the counter-terror operations in the area, have unfortunately lost their lives, whereas one army Jawan who is battling for his life, he has been injured, and he has been shifted to the military hospital where he is under treatment. If you remember, this is the same Bhata Duriya forest area in the Rajouri Poonch belt, wherein in October 2021, 8 of our brave hearts, they attained martyrdom during the terror attack in the area. At that time also, the people, anti-fascist front, the terror outfit, People Anti-Fascist Front had taken responsibility for the terror attack, and today also the same terror outfit has released a video wherein they have said that they carried out this lightning attack on the army. But as we speak, the entire area has been cordoned off by the army, by the local police and the BSF, and a massive manhunt is already on in the area to identify and neutralize the terrorists who are responsible for carrying out this terror attack. Also, this place is not that far away from the Dangri area of Rajouri, wherein on earlier this year there was a terror attack in which unarmed civilians, they were targeted by the terrorists and they were gunned down. So those terrorists who were responsible for the Dangri terror incident, they are still at large. They haven't been identified. So the security agencies are trying to find out whether
Tejinder, I want to understand from you about the timing of this attack. Just about a week ago, we had the announcement that India's moved to host the G20 meeting in Srinagar. Our neighbors Pakistan did not like it. I'm sure terror elements did not like it. There are, of course, efforts being made by the government of the day to ensure peace and stability and development in the region of Jammu and Kashmir. The narrative of normalcy is something that the terror elements clearly don't like. How has it really panned out in the last few months and weeks in terms of terror activities? Have we seen any kind of spike? Tejinder, very briefly from you, and then I'll take in a word from Akash as well.
Yes, you see, there have been inputs with the security agencies that the terrorists, they were planning to carry out a major terror strike, especially in the Jammu region, given the fact that in Kashmir Valley, the security agencies, they have launched a massive crackdown against the entire terror network. You see, almost large number of OGWs of the terrorists, they are already behind bars. The terror infrastructure has been greatly uprooted by the security agencies. Every day we see raids by SIA, NIA, SIU. So the entire infrastructure of terrorists in the Kashmir Valley has been uprooted, and that is the reason that terrorists, they are now trying to target the Jammu region. They are trying to shift their base towards Jammu region, and that could be one of the reasons that in the recent past we have seen two major terror strikes. First in the Dangri area, wherein unarmed civilians, the Hindus, they were identified and gunned down, and today again this terror attack on the army vehicle in the Poonch area. Yes.
Tejinder Singh Sodhi continues to remain with us on the broadcast. This is a terror attack that has happened on an army vehicle. Earlier, it was anticipated and it was suggested that this happened under certain circumstances struck by lightning. But now the army has confirmed that there has been a grenade attack on an army truck. 5 of our Jawans have unfortunately lost their lives. One Jawan is injured. He's been taken to a nearby hospital. The army chief has apprised the Raksha Mantri of the entire situation. Investigation is underway. Operations are underway to nab the terrorists in this area. Experts have been telling us that prima facie this could be the work of any terror outfit. There are also certain overground and underground elements that continue to be active in the valley. I'm once again cutting across to my colleague Akash, who continues to stay with us on the broadcast. Akash, for the benefit of our viewers, once again, tell the facts that the army has put out in the public domain. What is it that they have said on record?
Definitely. So, Anusha, you see, at around 3 p.m., this incident has happened, and as far as the sources within the army are concerned, so they are saying that this was a terror attack. Talking about this particular area, so this area is witnessing heavy rainfall, and this is the reason why, in fact, this area had low visibility, and after that, these terrorists took advantage of the particular situation and attacked on that particular vehicle. We are learning that we have lost 5 of our Jawans, and in fact, one Jawan is critically injured, and he has been shifted to a nearby hospital, but definitely such operations on. And also, Anusha, you see, timing is very crucial, timing is very important, because you see, we have a number of events, number of international events that are lined up. In fact, in Srinagar, we have G20 and we have defense ministers meet, in fact, and a number of things. So the timing is very important. And
Absolutely.
Yes, this is not the very first time, but again, these are not the routine events now because of the efforts by the government, by the central government in Jammu and Kashmir and also in the nearby areas. But this time it has happened, and also one organization has come out in public and has taken the responsibility. But at this point in time, the focus is on the search operation, and also agencies are somewhere finding the loopholes that could have caused the particular attack.
True.
This is for the benefit of our viewers that we have lost 5 of our Jawans, these Jawans from Rashtriya Rifles, and one Jawan is critically injured. He has been admitted to the hospital and we are praying for his well-being. But this is a major development at a time when we have events like a G20 lined up in the country.
A salute to the martyrdom of our Jawans and of course thoughts and prayers with the families who've been affected. My colleague Tejinder continues to stay with us on the broadcast. Tejinder, I want to talk a bit more with you about the timing of this incident, how there are various activities of the government which have been going on, which the terror elements, which our enemy neighbors have disliked openly. All right, we'll try and cut across to Tejinder. I seem to have lost that line with him. Akash continues to stay with us. Akash, the announcement of G20 did not go down well with Pakistan. And of course, it wouldn't have been liked by the terror elements in the valley as well. I was talking to Tejinder as well about the manner in which the security agencies have cracked down on the overground and the underground workers. By data, the terror activities in the valley have come down. Lot more needs to be done. This particular attack could be the design of any terror outfit, as most of the experts are telling us. Any organization that has taken responsibility, any hint that the preliminary investigation is telling you by the way of your sources?
Right. So first of all, senior officers are on ground, commander level officers are on ground. They are investigating the particular case as to what actually happened in this particular matter. But definitely PAFF has come out in public. It's a terror outfit and has taken the responsibility. And also, Anusha, as far as the timing is concerned, so I'm again and again mentioning this very fact that, we have important events. In fact, in Srinagar, we have G20.
The narrative of normalcy and development would never be liked by the terror elements. 5 of our Jawans have lost their lives and their sacrifice will not go in vain. This is a story that we first told you here on CNN News 18 and we continue to track it. My colleague Anand Narasimhan takes the news forward at the right stand.
Namaste and Jai Hind, ladies and gentlemen. It's on a somber note that we open this edition of The Right Stand. 5 of our Jawans have been martyred in an ambush attack in Poonch. The office of the Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has just tweeted where they've said, "I'm deeply anguished by the loss of lives of brave army personnel in a tragic incident in Poonch. Their rich service to the nation will never be forgotten. My thoughts are with the bereaved families." That's what we've got the latest updates. We'll stay on this story right at the top before we move on to some of the other stories, getting you the latest. Now, Arunima has also just added to sources before we go across to Ishan Wani live on the ground that it was a short movement. There was a road opening party that was there, but it looks like that the attackers were waiting for an ambush. The area is forested and low visibility increased the challenge. A joint search operation has been launched and we're given to understand that there is an eyewitness to this entire event, but that eyewitness is seriously injured. Remember, here at News 18, we were the first to tell you that there is something dodgy about this Jeep catching fire. The reports had come in around 4 o'clock this evening, but there were reports and there were suggestions that the Jawans had bullet marks to their bodies, on their bodies. And that's when further reports and now further confirmation this was indeed a terror attack, and this is happening just about a month or a few days before the G20 meeting happens in Srinagar. Is there an intent to deliberately try and psych visiting members and try and dissuade them from coming to Srinagar, to Jammu and Kashmir? Is a big question. And is this nothing but a cowardly attempt to do that? Because this is again by those entities who are backed by the enemy. Now, there are multiple details. We'll try and go across to Tejinder Sodhi in just a bit. But first to Ishan Wani is on ground. Ishan, take us through what you know and what you see around you.
Well, what we know so far is that there was this vehicle which had the Rashtriya Rifle men in it, and this is where the army says that there were grenades which were lobbed at this vehicle, and then there were also gunshots on the vehicle. That is when this attack unfolded. There was no time where security forces, the Indian Army men, could have reacted sharply. Because this was an alone vehicle. That is why it was, they were targeted, they were attacked, and they were, fired at. Remember, PFF is an organization which has been responsible for certain kind of attacks, particularly in the Rajouri and Poonch belt. They have claimed previously also attacks on that side. They haven't been operational in Kashmir part, but they have been operational towards the Jammu region, particularly Rajouri, Poonch. If you remember, some years back, there was another similar kind of attack where army personnel, there was a search operation which carried on for more than 20 days when the PFF men actually claimed to have attacked the army personnel. So a similar kind of story being repeated by them right here. The army was quick to respond. They tried their level best to, extinguish those blazes, but, they had engulfed the vehicle already. One Jawan is still being treated at the hospital, but 5 of them have lost their lives in this attack. Now, this has come at a very important time. Remember, the government is focused on G20. The entire administration, the security forces are focused on G20. The level of violence in Kashmir Valley had gone down, and that is what the security forces were happy about. But at the same time, when we talk to our security sources in Kashmir,
this is not going to deter. This is not going to deter or derail. This is also acts of desperation. Ishan, you're right that there may be attempts, but now we've got more information. Ishan, please stay on with us. Arunima is also with us on the phone line. Manoj Gupta, our investigations editor, adding to Arunima's information. This entire outfit, this is PAFF, is just an offshoot of the Lashkar. Arunima also sharing with us that this outfit was formed to escape scrutiny from the FATF. They are all nothing but Lashkar puppets. So this is Lashkar. Manoj telling us that this group has been sitting in the Rajouri Poonch jungles for a period of time. We remember Tejendra Sodhi also saying that they have earlier carried out, and there could be the same group that carried out an attack at a house in Rajouri, and they had escaped. Massive search and combing operations had been launched, but these people are still, these terrorists are still hiding in these jungles. Arunima joining us with more. Yes, Arunima, we shared some of the inputs that you have put out. I've just shared it with our viewers. Take us through. What else do we know?
So it's very clear that this was a well thought out ambush. That much is very clear. The first question that comes to your mind is that usually when a convoy travels in Jammu and Kashmir, there is a proper SOP, and that SOP after Pulwama has been implemented with even more stringent thought process. So why is it that the solitary vehicle was traveling? So what we are told is that this was a very short route that was being taken, and that's why there was a road opening party there. But it was a very short route, and therefore the single vehicle was traveling. The next question then was that was there some kind of a prior information that was available to these attackers, to these terrorists, to which prima facie what seems to be the conclusion of those on the ground is that they were sitting with an ambush. They were aware that there would be some kind of a movement, and it's a forested area. Visibility was low. That's what the statement issued by South Block also says. So taking advantage of that, most likely grenades were hurled. That's the most likely suspicion. The only eyewitness is grievously injured, and therefore only very preliminary information has been gathered after speaking to the eyewitness. But that's what they think, that this is one of those attacks that have happened when you throw a grenade and just run away. You make your point, but at the same time you escape getting caught by the forces. But the forces are very confident. A joint operation has been launched, and the entire area is being scanned even as we speak.
Right. So did they just throw a grenade and run away, or were there unconfirmed reports of also bullet wounds on the bodies of the soldiers that was reported earlier? Ishan is there with us with more details. Yes, Ishan. Thank you, Arunima, for your inputs. Yes, Ishan.
Well, yes, as you rightly pointed out, that this group has been operational in Rajouri Poonch for quite some time, and security forces have been trying hard to actually get a hold of this group. Remember, PAFF emerged after abrogation of Article 370, 2019, around that time, when different groups in Kashmir took different operational names. Some of them turned TRF, some of them turned PAFF, and other groups were also named. PAFF particularly claimed responsibilities of the attacks which have been taking place in Poonch and Rajouri. In those videos which we are seeing, we can also hear some speculative gunfire by the Indian Army, because many of them, we believe, that might have learned that these militants who attacked that vehicle could be largely in the area. So once you do that speculative firing, if there's a retaliatory fire, you can guess the location of the militant who would have fired at the vehicle. But it seems like there was no response from the other side, and they would have managed to go into the jungle. One is that it's very difficult terrain. It's difficult to manage the forest, deep forest area. So army will have to push in a lot of men inside the jungle. Last time when certain kind of attack, similar kind of attack took place around that particular belt, the operation lasted for 20 plus days. So yes, there could be a big operational challenge for the Indian Army. But But yes, at the same time, the timing is very important when not only G20, but several other initiatives that the government is taking in Jammu and Kashmir. The process seems to be to basically derail that process. But the government is sure and confident they will go ahead with it. There's a massive security challenge in Kashmir Valley as well. Security forces are trying their level best to ensure that there is no violence. We already saw that Jammu and Kashmir police making statement in Kashmir saying that at least 28 only local militants are active in Kashmir Valley. So yes, the figure is less this side, but on the other side in Jammu, these little attacks are taking place, which is creating some kind of noise. But the government says that they are confident that they will bring the level of violence back to zero, and they are sure that these kind of attacks would not deter the G20 meeting that is going to be held for 3 days in Kashmir next month. Because if you see clearly, when the PAFF has released this particular message, they have used G20 and they have used it very clearly that this is something
that's a propaganda effort by a bunch of cowards who are going to attack like this. They don't have the gumption to come out and fight. They can't fight a direct war. They've been trying to fight a proxy war for years, and they're now reduced to just bits and bobs here and there. It's unfortunate what has happened, but they will be accounted for. That's the confidence we have on our soldiers and our braves, and this will be done. This is an incomplete job which now will be done. We've given to understand there is a joint search op that has already been launched in those very jungles where they've been hiding for a bit. Dr. Tara Karta, former Director, National Security Council Secretariat, and Pathikrit Pine, Security Analyst, joining us. And also joining us is Ambassador Rajiv Dogra. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us on very short notice. But more importantly, it's a somber note that we've got to strike. It's a forested area. It was raining, poor visibility, and we now have 5 Jawans, 5 personnel of the Indian Army who've been killed. There's jeep being attacked, and they clearly lobbed grenades or some incendiary device, because you can see that the jeep was in flames. This happened about 1500 hours earlier in the day, around 3 p.m. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, how would you see this? Would you link it to what's going to happen next month in Kashmir, G20? Would you link it to a desperate attempt to try and derail this entire narrative and derail story of India and India's leadership at G20? Or is this some desperate attempt to ensure the international fraternity doesn't land up in Kashmir? Because then that validates abrogation of 370 and totally steals the narrative away from the Pakistanis.
Well, Anand, you're absolutely right in hinting that this is not an isolated knee-jerk event. This terror attack is probably part of a link that has wider implications. The reason why I'm saying that is that 2 days back, the DGISI and the military intelligence chief had briefed the Chief Justice of Pakistan. The briefing was on their internal issue of elections in Punjab and NWFP. But really, 2 important things that they conveyed during that meeting were all linked to India. One, they said that RAW will escalate its terror operations in Pakistan, which is quite strange. Second, they said that the fear that a war could break out. Now, for people like DGISI and Military Intelligence Chief of Pakistan to say those things is a little extreme, because they are not indulging in propaganda with their public, in which they can do anything they want and give all kinds of false information. But they were making a presentation to Chief Justice as responsible representatives of the Army of Pakistan. The second thing is that this has happened on a day when Pakistan Foreign Ministry broke out the news, or gave out the news, that Mr. Bilawal Bhutto will travel to India in first week of May to attend the SCO Foreign Ministers meeting. The third link in this chain is that historically, whenever Pakistan is in a weak position domestically, whenever it is in trouble domestically, it starts to divert people's attention by doing something negative with India or in India. In this case, a terror attack in India. So you were absolutely right to link it to a wider chain, and it seems that it is part of a wider chain. But still, I would like to reserve and tone down my comments till we know the full picture.
Right.
Until hopefully we've caught a light those terrorists. So
we are in a live situation, so we're going to stay on this for a bit because there are continuous updates. Arunima has just given us some more updates, and what she's saying as we try and get her back on the phone, the terrain where the attack happened has natural caves where shelter can be taken without getting detected easily, and that can pose a challenge to try and catch these elements. The LOC also not very far from this spot. So it is still early to say whether or not these attackers or these terrorists have recently infiltrated, or is it the same bunch. What more importantly, what we are given to understand is that bullets were also fired after lobbing the grenade. So this confirms CNN News 18's earlier report that some of the Jawans whose bodies were found were riddled with bullets. That means clearly these attackers lobbed the grenades and then they tried to fire at the Jawans to ensure the kill. So it is planned, highly motivated, and they have picked this army vehicle on a day like Ambassador Rajiv Dogra said, that there are a lot of events that have happened. We'll go to Arunima when she's with us on the phone line. But Tara Kartaji, your thoughts?
See, as your person on the ground was saying, there is that PAFF activity in that area since I think October 2021 or thereabouts. And these names mean nothing. They're all these same creatures who come up and, they are trying to shift the narrative away from, the jihad, which has got an very bad reputation internationally, the whole Muslim aspect. So they have all these names, People's Anti-Fascist Front. I mean, what does that mean? The thing is that Poonch area, like you said, is a terrible area for counterinsurgency. It's a nightmare scenario. It's close to the border, but my sense is this is a new group, because the last I heard, the number of terrorists in the local terrorists in the valley were about less than 30 odd. So it seems to be a very, very deliberate attack. Very deliberate attempt to, as you said, fuel tensions. Now, one thing I just wanted to speculate on, like as Ambassador said, until we have the details, we can't really say exactly what's going on. I remember Nawaz Sharif asking his people in the meeting that how is it that every time I want to talk to India, there is a terror attack?
Correct.
So that is very significant. So whenever a civilian government makes a move to come this side, there is a massive attack. So that is one aspect. Second, of course, is the G20. Like you said, they're going to do anything possible to stop that meeting. Then we can expect a lot more. I'm hoping it doesn't get worse, but they are not going to allow that to happen.
No, who are they to decide that, Taraji? We should say that we will do everything possible to make sure it happens.
Exactly.
That's that's our attitude. And if that means that we've got to exterminate a few pests in and around the LOC, then so be it. We'll do that with determination. That's how we have to be as a nation. We can't allow a crazy bunch sitting somewhere to orchestrate how this nation will behave.
Oh, this is not a government that's going to do that. This is certainly not a government that is going to allow anyone to decide what they're going to do. So, but this it's after a long time you're seeing this happen. The good part is that Kashmir, inside the valley, it has quietened down. People are sort of, looking forward to change. There is an acceptance that things have changed inside. How this will play out, we'll just have to see. In terms of Bilawal Bhutto coming to India, whether that is a thing, we don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
Pathikrit Pine?
Until we get more details on this attack. But
sorry, Taraji, we lost your audio in between. I thought you had completed, but I'm just bringing in Pathikrit Pine and then I'll circle back to you. Yes, Pathikrit.
Anand, there is a series of events and meetings which are happening in J&K. This week itself, there was a major Y20 consultation meet. Youth 20 is the Youth Engagement Division of G20. Next week, there will be a major event in Leh. And of course, the next month, there will be an event in Srinagar. So I think as a country and a government, we are undeterred and we would continue to have these events because it's an integral part of India. Of course, there are two elements. Number one, yes, there are certain local elements which might be present in those areas, but I don't think the local militants anymore have the gumption and the guts to take on a major fight unless there is an external push. So if you look at the modus operandi, it is very much in a manner in which you actually deliberately instigate India for a major retaliation. If you look at the internal situation of Pakistan, of course, the Bilawal Bhutto issue is a very important one where the deep state perhaps doesn't want the foreign minister of Pakistan to come to India, but there is another aspect to it. Pakistan is on the verge of implosion. There are sectarian violence, there is economic problem, there is political instability, there is a problem between judiciary and the political system. The deep state is completely getting exposed. There are people who are taking a stand against Pakistan army. Ethnic violence has started in that kind of a scenario. I think there is an argument within Pakistan that only thing that can galvanize the country, which has almost reached a dead end. The only thing that can salvage or whatever is remaining of Pakistan is to have the common enemy retaliate. And I think this was perhaps the reason why something was done deliberately. And so I think there is a strong and a profound external instigation, and that external instigation cannot be ruled out. And I think I would not be surprised if there is a major retaliation. And I think, but again, we have to be, wait for the government to take a stand on these issues. They are the best to decide what should be done, because Pakistan would, number one, try to destabilize the situation. They will try to make sure that the events don't happen, and they will try to galvanize the situation inside Pakistan so that they they stop fighting with each other. So we have to see how this situation evolves. But this event is very much, if not at the proportion of Pulwama, but it seems there was an attempt to create that kind of furor, and 5 lives once you are wounded by a grenade attack. If somebody comes to actually shoot you down again, that shows the level of brutality with which it was done. So the brutality, if it was so profound, in that case, I think the country today would work and say in unison that perhaps enough is enough. Pakistan knows India has been defined as a bright spot in a dark horizon. We are on the verge of becoming a $5 trillion economy, and be rest assured there will be elements on both sides of our border who would try to create problems. I think this is an exemplification of that. Without a retaliation or a response, they would get more spirit to do more things. What should be done? We should leave to the government to decide. But I think the country today in unison speaks again that, this is unacceptable. Yes, it is also true, my last point, Anand, that you cannot have 100% sanitization. For every 99 attacks that you prevent, there would always be one incident which might happen. The government has done enough in Kashmir in terms of reducing the intensity and the proportion of terror attacks. But it's unfortunate. We cannot blame the forces for this.
There are, as long as we have a porous LOC, as long as we have this entire ambiguity of an LOC despite an international border clearly being defined, there are going to be issues. Some matters have to be taken on hand, and certain elements have to be put in place. That's a longer call, that's a far more greater call, but more importantly, we have to do everything possible to make sure that G20 happens, and it happens bigger, on a far bigger scale than what is actually being planned right now. That's the message that we can give, and we should ensure all the participating members of all the nations should be there in Jammu and Kashmir, and they should be there on ground. And if one of them comes to harm, the first nation that is going to get marked for this is Pakistan. So clear. So there is nothing more than that. This is a proxy war for which that nation has to pay the price for what they are trying to orchestrate and engineer. And every life they will have to pay with 10 more. That's what the cost of waging war against India has to be made. Really, really dear. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra is also with us, but quickly, sir, before I come to you, going across to Arunima, who is joining us live with some more inputs. Yes, Arunima. So the terrorists lobbed the grenade and then opened fire. How did they know this route? This is a forested area. How did they know this vehicle is going to come? So there is some element of planning which is highlighted there.
There are 2-3 things that private FSI officials on the ground are telling us. A, that this entire terrain is very difficult. It's forested. It's about 10 kilometers from the line of control. So not very far from the infiltration routes that have been taken by terrorists in the past. It's a matter of investigation whether they infiltrated recently or they have been lying there waiting for an ambush for some time. Did they just get lucky while they were waiting for an ambush that this vehicle passed through, or did they have a prior information? We don't have clarity on that yet. It's a matter of investigation. The sole eyewitness, who's a soldier who's been injured as well, what he's managed to convey is that there was grenade that was lobbed, and then subsequently there was bullet fired. Some bullet injuries have been marked on the deceased as well. search operation is on. Senior police officers from Jammu, including the ADGP, is on his way. The Indian Army, of course, is on the ground. The Central Paramilitary Forces are also there. Jammu and Kashmir Police too. So they're all, carrying out this joint operation. But what they tell me is that, the biggest challenge is the terrain itself. Low visibility perhaps help the attackers, help the terrorists more. They say that there are a number of natural caves in these heavily forested areas. So if these terrorists have been here for some time and if they have local help, if somebody from that area knows the topography well, then they could take shelter in the local caves, making it even more difficult for search operations to be carried out. So that's the first big challenge. But of course, PF has already taken responsibility. It's an offshoot of Lashkar-e-Toiba, we are told. We started hearing about it only 2020 onwards, from the time FATF scrutiny increased. So prima facie, it does look like Lashkar has carried this out, and there is no doubt about it that this has been carried out because G20 is round the corner, and our neighbors don't want anything to do with peace in Jammu and Kashmir, do not want Jammu and Kashmir to be showcased as a peaceful union territory of India. That seems to be the main motivation, but we are waiting for the search operation to be continued and perhaps the eyewitness to get in a position medically where he can give us more insight into the sequence of events.
Right. We're getting more information. I have Group Captain MJ Vinod also joining us at this point. But we also have another information. Top government sources are telling CNN News 18, this is a big exclusive. Our investigations editor Manoj Gupta has just put this out, saying that today army Jawans have been killed by Lashkar. Pakistan is defaming itself before the world. Lashkar operates and runs, is operated and run by the ISI. Clearly a Pakistan state-sponsored terrorist outfit. G20 is going to happen very soon in Kashmir. We will tell the world how Pakistan is derailing peace and progress in Jammu and Kashmir. Every act is against humanity and peace of the world. Pakistan evidence will be shared with the Pakistanis very, very soon. This is what top government sources are saying. This is the big news that's come through at this point in time. So that's the latest that our investigations editor Manoj Gupta is bringing. But we also have Group Captain MJ Vinod. But Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, what is the cost? Arunima is going back to Arunima quickly. Yes, Arunima.
So what we are also hearing is that even though not specific, there was some intelligence available that terrorists would try and disrupt, carry out some kind of a targeted terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir. And based on that, there was already some kind of preparation that was going on. Home Minister Amit Shah took a meeting just 10 days ago here in Delhi, where a no to terror and a approach to eliminate these targeted killings were also discussed. And at that point also it was shared that G20 would be an event that terrorists would try and derail. So even though it was not specific, there was some intelligence available, is what officials on the ground are telling us.
Right. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, how should India respond? Do you agree with the response that India is...
I don't think...
Ji.
Sorry.
Ji.
Firstly, I think India has already responded. If the information which your colleague Manoj Gupta has got, that means it's an official response from India, that they know, that we know that it is a Lashkar-e-Toiba operation. And as everyone knows, LET does not operate by itself. It operates under the direction and supervision of ISI, which also means that there could be some element of border action team of Pakistan, which could be involved in this. Maybe one of the members may be supervising the entire operation which led to this attack. So India has responded. The next response as to what it should be in further terms, that also they've clarified that they will present the evidence to the world and perhaps to Pakistan also. The latter part, the Pakistan part, I'm not sure whether it yields any results at all. In fact, it only helps Pakistan in cutting out whatever lapses they have had in a particular operation, so that in next operation they come better prepared. The operative part of this entire exercise is the message. Does Pakistan just want to sort of stop or hinder G20 meetings taking place anywhere in Srinagar or Leh or any other part of J&K? I don't think that is entirely the objective of Pakistan. It is one of the objectives, but not the principal objective. The principal objective is the mess that Pakistan Army finds itself in. And I'll come back again to the briefing that DGISI and Chief of their Military Intelligence gave to the Chief Justice of Pakistan, where they clearly said that, we expect things to heat up vis-a-vis India. Now, you don't make such statements unless you are ready for action. And this is one unfortunate action. So India will have to react, but it will not be a knee-jerk reaction. It will be a well-thought-out reaction so that Pakistan does not make it the first in a series of their plans.
Absolutely. Group Captain MJ Vinod?
Yeah, Anand, a couple of things that comes out very clear. I was looking at the images as well. Of course, they say the grenade has been hurled, but to me, it appears that some kind of a Molotov cocktail has been used. Some thickening agents have been used, which is why the fire is also, as you can see, as you're putting it out.
The incendiary element.
It's also, yes, the incendiary element, absolutely, and it is burning on the ground. So that, to me, is a bigger message, because it could be that it was prepared within the country, and just a triggering agent may have been got from outside. Be that as it may, and Anand, I've walked this area from Rajouri to the Bimbar Gully, the entire the valley. One valley goes towards Bimbar Gully, the other one goes towards Gautal and that area.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've been there as well.
I've been there too. Yeah.
So this area, as you know, is in an ideal ground for any kind of ambush to happen. And we have today technology, Anand, to have, my entire aim of coming into the drone space was to do this anti-ambush activity, because a drone going ahead could have prevented this. And I'm looking at it from a, how we can prevent it in the future. And third question I have is people like people who speak out of turn. Like one gentleman came and spoke about, Pulwama attack. I mean, you have it here right in front of you. So a determined enemy needs to be successful only once.
Yeah.
And you have to be successful every time.
Correct.
And that is like, expecting Six Sigma on thousands of vehicles that goes up and down.
Right.
And Six Sigma, mind you, is still 99.9.
Correct.
And it is not 100%. So these are few messages that is, coming out.
Yeah, I just, Group Captain Vinod, we've got to take a break, but Akash Sharma, Arunima is through with us with some more information, but Akash Sharma, who's also following this story closely, we'll try and get him on the phone or get him live from the newsroom. He's saying that this truck was not part of the convoy. It was a single truck with 6 soldiers in it. The Jawans were actually returning from an ADM duty. So that's what Akash is saying, that this truck was not actually part of the actual convoy. This was a separate truck or a separate vehicle, and there were 6 soldiers in it, and that's why he said one eyewitness who's also a Jawan is critically injured. Let's just hope that he survives, and we are able to also not just understand what actually happened, but we don't lose all of them who are on board. 5 Jawans martyred already, but Akash is telling us this truck was not part of the convoy. But Arunima joining us with the fact that there was an alert. Was it just a generic alert that be watchful, there could be a terror attack anytime, or something specific? Arunima.
So first I can corroborate what Akash is telling us. That's my information as well, that, this was a very short distance that this truck was to travel. And that's what I was telling you earlier also, that post Pulwama, there is an SOP, even before Pulwama, for the army truck, there has been a SOP as well. But post Pulwama, that is being implemented with even more strictness. But this particular convoy was not moving. It was a single truck. It was just carrying people coming back from administrative duties, and they were going back to their base. And therefore, there was a road opening party that was placed. A road opening party, to put it simply, is just a naka that is there, which sanitizes the stretch that is being taken. So in spite of that ROP, these attackers managed to lay this ambush, and now information seems to suggest that they first lobbed grenades and perhaps then also fired bullets. The information seems to be that, this group is the same which carried out attacks in October 2021. That was the last time that this group, which is claimed on social media that they are behind this, a Lashkar front, October 2021, they had carried out a similar attack. There are a string of meetings that are happening, and we are told that there was some intelligence, some input to suggest that they will try, Lashkar, Jaish, essentially ISI sitting in Pakistan, will try and derail the G20 summit because G20 was one showcase event that India wanted to put before the world that all is good with Jammu and Kashmir after 370 was withdrawn.
Well,
something Pakistan did not.
This is only going to further firm up our resolve that we'll do a farther, much bigger kind of event like never before for the world to see. And these elements stand exposed. Akash is joining us with more. Yes, Akash. So confirmation that this truck was not part of a convoy, but returning from administrative duty.
Right, and Anand, important to mention, this is an operational area, but as far as the duty of these Jawans are concerned, so they were a part of an administrative duty. It can be ration transfer or anything else. And also, this truck was an individual truck. It was not a part of any convoy. And, given that Army has mentioned it categorically, that this area is witnessing rainfall and visibility was very low. After that, while you are corroborating the inputs, so you are getting some sort of conclusion that they came, they fired on the particular vehicle, they launched a grenade attack and then fled away. So this is the input, but investigation is on, search operation is on, and we'll get to know as to what is the fact behind the particular incident.
Thank you for your inputs. The other aspect is that did they fire to confirm the kill, or were these fired before they lobbed the grenade, which clearly looks like an incendiary device? Because the amount of fire that we are seeing on the Jeep there, on the vehicle there, itself shows that there was something to try and create incendiary in the sense that to try and accelerate fire there and burning there. So, and this is quite sinister in terms of design, Group Captain Vinod. Arunima is saying this group was active in October 2021. They've come back, they've become reactive again. There is facts that they could be hiding the same group or a terror group. See, because each group can claim and try and confuse and conflate. It could be the group that conducted the terror attack at that house, and then they hid in these jungles itself. It could be a fresh bunch that has come in or infiltrated from the LOC, which is not so far away. And these are dense jungles there with lots of caves which give cover to a lot of these elements. So you know the terrain, so I'm asking you this. But somewhere they had planned this.
Yeah, see, and like Arunima covered, just one slip. And one slip is what they needed for, to carry out this attack. That means they must have been watching for Army to slip up on the, single vehicle coming back, no road opening party. And they didn't want to probably expose themselves. And they're calling themselves People's Anti-Fascist Front or whatever. It is a Jaish back terror group. And one more point, Anand, today with the kind of, economic activity going down the drain in Pakistan, the whispers I'm hearing is Jaish and other operations are, sort of, the ISI has sort of lost control over it as the kind of grip it had with them. So that is another angle that we need to look at as well.
Right. Pathikrit, Arunima is saying that's what confirmation. She said the same thing. I'm just reading it out that this role of this Lashkar offshoot came out on the 11th of October 2021 in the Mendhar region in this entire forests of Poonch district, where they killed 9 Indian soldiers. After that, they've been largely inactive. They've been working around and they've been seen to be operating in this sector, in the Poonch Rajouri sector. But if the focus or if the idea is to try and derail G20, then we have to give a much stronger message. Not have one, but 4 more events there. Reschedule some of the events and bring all of that into Jammu and Kashmir. Flood Jammu and Kashmir with tourists and people so much, and with our international delegations so much that they won't dare to do anything.
Anand, number one, be rest assured there would be series of events in Kashmir and Jammu and Ladakh, whether it is of G20 or that of the engagement groups of G20. I think today there are 2 important issues I want to mention. Today's India is one where Sirat Naz, she's a 8-year-old kid, makes a social media video about a better school, and the Prime Minister responds and pledges to make a better, much bigger school for her. That is not the kind of Kashmir that the Lashkars and the Jaish wants for India, or that's not the kind of Kashmir we want to happen. These new names of terror groups are like chatbots or shell companies. They try to give a plausible deniability to the deep state of Pakistan, but the reality is this, I repeat, none of these smaller groups have the gumption or the conviction to carry out these kind of attack, knowing the kind of retaliation that could happen. So there is an external push in terms of funds, in terms of material, in terms of something which will instigate the blast, whether it's a small amount of RDX and the rest might be an urea ammonium nitrate mixture. These are the things that actually has an external aspect to it. The other thing is also, it's not just about G20. You see Jammu and Kashmir today is seeing a resurgence of nationalism. It is witnessing investor summits. These are the things that Pakistan cannot like, and Pakistan is perhaps not just Pakistan. There can be others also who are again hidden behind Pakistan, who would try to do this. So there has to be a response in a manner which India shows its intent. Remember, India has already altered the threshold of its terror response mechanism. The Balakot airstrike mentioned it, that we would do attacks which are preemptive non-military strike aimed at the heart of terrorism. And I think it is not just about showcasing to the others that look what this is Pakistan doing. It is also about making sure UN gets a message that this is where the change is. Terrorism has no definition till date. Pakistan gets out of financial action task force in spite of continuing these things. So those who actually played a role in taking out Pakistan from the grey list, they are equally accountable for what they have done. And this is important also, that India has to today speak in unison, that we will fight together with the government of India against Pakistan instead of blame game, which unfortunately some will start. This is a very critical stage of India. We are actually moving towards a $5 trillion economy. The world is looking towards us. There is a derailment objective which is there, and the response has to be both in terms of counter-terror measure, perhaps also a non-military strike if necessary, and also in terms of economic growth. The growth must continue. The momentum of G20 must continue.
It is the machinations of a select few and the cowardice of fewer versus the collective will of a nation. That's what we have to showcase. And the collective will, which is backed by the force of the G20 nations and their support solidly standing behind India. That's the only way we can say this, and of course leave it to the forces on ground to avenge these killings and avenge it in a way that the message is sent across. Now, I've just got another update. Tejinder Sodhi actually saying that the 11th October 2021 attack happened in the Bataduri forest area that is not very far away from the attack site today. So this is again, this outfit of this offshoot of the Lashkar, PAFF, seems to be very active in this area. The operation so far has not been called off. There is a search operation which is still on. Senior police and paramilitary officials are actually en route. Ground Zero, Arunima telling us. Traffic on the route also has now been suspended. Additional troops have been rushed to the spot. Tejinder Sodhi getting us these updates. We are compelled to take a very, very short break. I request our guests to stay on with us. We'll come back with more updates on this story and also get you other developments across the country through the day when we come back. Stay with us.
Suddenly government woke up. I think I have not understood. They have got thousands and thousands of people, a record number of people evacuated. When you talk of only one kind of caste, one kind of people, it is nothing but pure parochial politics.
All right. Aishwarya Mahadev, why reduce it just to parochial identities just because there is an election coming up? Had that election not been there, would Siddaramaiah have publicly tweeted about this?
Did Congress speak about this when the earlier operations took place? No, they welcomed the government.
Okay. Let Aishwarya respond, yeah.
We don't need any lessons on any evacuation programs because from the Gulf War and post that also the UP has done its responsibility. When you talk about a parochial mindset, sir, I will not even engage in that, because if Mr. Siddaramaiah had not spoken about these 31 Kannadigas who are part of his state, who are his people, would you have even known about the plight of the thousands of others? You would not. Would you have even made that contact with them? You would have not. And this is not the first time. Twitter has been an asset for people in order of communication from the time of Ms. Sushma Swaraj onwards. A lot of these responses and these sort of requests have come up, and the government, when it's convenient for them, they say we did this, and the power of social media. Okay. But when an opposition leader raises the voice for his people, it becomes parochial. All right. And so let me remind you, during COVID, what happened? It was each to their own. It was every state for themselves. It was migrants from UP, Bihar, migrants from here, there, whatever, while the central government stayed blank. While Karnataka also offered shelter, Karnataka looked after its own. I do not believe at any point you talk about this larger idea of a parochial mindset, but tell me, would you have voluntarily necessarily have offered
so
up the
Ratan
fact that
Sharda,
something is
final word. I got to wrap up after
the
that.
people of what is happening?
Yeah, let him respond.
Absolutely not. This is
Final
a
word,
sheer
Ratan Sharda.
politicization
I got to
by
wrap
the
up after that,
appalling
Aishwarya. Thank you.
External Affairs Minister.
Please yield. Yeah, thank you.
The first bit of Siddaramaiah, no Congress leader has spoken of all the 3,000 people. And again, to believe that, because I said every party has done its bit for evacuation, and do you think that government is sleeping till you make a tweet? This is how the government works? Sorry. Government eyes and ears are always open. They have evacuated people as and when with complete courage, complete commitment. And you keep on speaking for last press only of 31 Kannadigas. That is the problem. 3,000 include Kannadiga. Now, for example, CNN didn't say which state this particular person was on the panel. They said Indian. So what's the harm in that? So that is why I say problem is your over propagandization of every issue, and that is what is going to hurt you, not the government or India.
All right. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. I want to first go across to Prabhu, who is an Indian national who's stranded in Sudan. I'll also be joined in a moment by Aishwarya Mahadev of the Congress. Ratan Sharda, RSS researcher and author, is also joining us. Prabhu, first things first, आपका स्थिति अभी कैसा है? आपका जो डेली नीड्स हैं, आप वो कैसे मैनेज कर रहे हैं? कहाँ पे फंसे हैं और आप कितने लोग हैं जो फंसे हैं सूडान में?
खाने के लिए तो हम लोग जो इस घर में आए थे, रेंट ले लिया था, तो जब भी हमारे पास ना दुकान खुली हुई थी तो रोज लाके खाना बना के खाते थे, दुकान सामने ही थी, तो हम स्टार्ट नहीं किया था, हमने रोज लाने का खाना पका के खाने का ये काम करते थे हम लोग जी। तो हमें कोई मैसेज नहीं मिली है ऐसा कुछ यहाँ फायर होने वाला है, तो हम कोई मैसेज नहीं मिली हम स्टार्ट करने के लिए। तो एक साथ ही ऐसा फायर होने लगा तो हम इमरजेंसी पूरा डोर लॉक करना पड़ा, तो हम अंदर ही लॉक होना पड़ा। तो बाहर का सिचुएशन मालूम होने के लिए हमको 4 से 5 दिन लग गया
जी।
तो हमारे पास ना जो भी बचे हुए थे जो अनाज उसको ही खाए, पानी पिए। 4 दिन तक हमने खाना तो नहीं खाया था, हमने जो पानी था टोटी में पानी था कुआं में, वो पानी ही पिया सब लोग ने, और बाद में पानी खत्म हो जाने के बाद बहुत परेशानी हुई हमको।
प्रभु ये बताइए कि सरकार की तरफ से कोई कम्युनिकेशन है आया है आपके पास? किसी ने रीच आउट किया है? किसी ने ये कहा है कि आपको वहां से इवैक्यूएट करेंगे? और अगर ऐसा मैसेज आएगा तो क्या आप वहां से निकलना चाहेंगे या आप वहीं रहना चाहेंगे जब तक ये वॉर खत्म ना हो जाए?
अभी तो ये चूज करने के लिए हमारे पास तो कोई आइडियोलॉजी नहीं है, क्योंकि हमको मदद मिली नहीं है, यहाँ पे किसी से भी मदद नहीं मिली है। अभी इसको चूज करने का हमारे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, यहाँ रहेंगे या इंडिया जाएंगे। हमारे को कोई समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, क्योंकि हम बाहर जा नहीं सकते, फायरिंग हुआ है। सरकार की तरफ से हमारे को मदद मिल जाएगी, इंडिया बुलाया जाएगा तो हम आने के लिए तैयार है।
आप कितने लोग हो प्रभु? आप कितने लोग हो और कहाँ, मतलब सूडान में अलग अलग जगहों पे फंसे हैं या एक ही जगह फंसे हैं? कितने लोग हैं आप?
Back on. Days after Atiq Ahmed was murdered, he was being taken for a checkup at the Prayagraj Calvin Hospital. The SIT recreated the crime scene earlier in the day where we saw 2 men in white headscarves similar to the ones worn by the murdered gangster Atiq Ahmed and his brother Ashraf. They were shot dead while they were talking to reporters in Prayagraj, right at the very spot the recreation happened. During the crime scene reconstruction, the 2 men are seen walking slowly amid a crowd of reporters. We'll try and get to those visuals when they are actually the 2 men can be seen walking towards, and the recreation visuals there. Amid a crowd of reporters, and cops are also seen following them. Then a man suddenly points a gun at Atiq Ahmed's head and shoots him point blank. So this entire recreation happens. Then the 2 accused fire at Atiq's brother and several rounds are fired. So there is a group of people, it was the STF cops itself who were dressed as journalists there. The crime scene was reconstructed just as how it all unfolded back on Saturday night.
और ये देखिए सामने 2 व्यक्ति जिनको अतीक और अशरफ बनाया गया है वो, और आप देखिए आपको नजर आएगा किस तरीके से पीछे से शूटर, अब धीरे धीरे वो व्यक्ति जिसने आईडी कार्ड लगा रखा है वो शूटर बना है, उसके हाथ में पिस्टल है। ये विजुअल बेहद इंपॉर्टेंट है। ये दोनों बाइट दे रहे हैं, सामने मीडिया कर्मी बनकर एसटीएफ के लोग खड़े हैं और वो जिसने आईडी कार्ड पहन रखा है वो जो शूटर बना हुआ है, जो मुख्य आरोपी है, वो आईडी कार्ड जिसने पहना हुआ है, हाथ में उसके गन है। और अब आप देखिए किस तरीके से सीन का रिक्रिएशन हो रहा है, फोटोग्राफ्स, तमाम चीजें यहाँ पर की गई हैं। ये विजुअल बेहद इंपॉर्टेंट है। क्राइम सीन का रिक्रिएशन किया जा रहा है इस वक्त। पुलिस वाले दो व्यक्तियों को लेकर जो अशरफ और अतीक बने हैं, जिनको अशरफ और अतीक बनाया गया है, सर पर गमछा बांधा है, कुछ उसी लहजे में व्हाइट कपड़े पहन रखे हैं और उनके आगे ही देखिए किस तरीके से ढेर कर दिया आरोपियों को।
So that was the whole recreation. Meanwhile, UP police wants to conduct a narco analysis test of 3 accused who killed gangster Atiq Ahmed and his brother Ashraf. This because they feel that the statements of the accused are misleading and that they are trying to shield their godfather. The accused told the police that they killed to become famous, but the cops believe that they are trying to shield the mastermind. The accused told the police that they were trying to kill Atiq Ahmed for a long time and wrecked several places, but the cops believe that all these statements are made to mislead the investigation and stall the murder probe. During interrogation of one of the accused has told the cops that the purchased pistol was from a person named Jitendra Gogoi. This claim has also been rejected by the cops as the gangster they've named was actually shot dead in 2021. Meanwhile, UP police has begun a massive search operation to look out for slain gangster Atiq Ahmed's wife Shaista Parveen, who has been absconding even after her husband was gunned down on April 15th. Along with Shaista, 3 other alleged shooters, including Guddu Muslim, are also absconding. So far, 4 cases have been registered against Shaista Parveen. Shaista used to run a real estate business. UPSTF likely to attach Shaista's property. The properties are in Prayagraj, Delhi NCR and Haryana. 4 companies have been named after Shaista's brother, so those are also under radar. The larger question is she now going to take over this entire crime syndicate? Is she the new Bahubali after Atiq has been murdered? The brother-in-law has been killed. Asad, the third son, has been killed in encounter. 2 sons, Umar and Ali, are in jail. 2 minor sons are in a juvenile home. Now, the crackdown continues on Mafia Raj because now it is Mukhtar Ansari's wife who's under the lens. The hunt is on for Mukhtar Ansari's wife. In the Ghazipur police list, Ansari's wife Afshan is among the top 12 criminals. She has been booked in various cases under various sections. A massive manhunt has been launched to nab Afshan Ansari. Searches in several Uttar Pradesh districts continue. The ED and CBI is also in touch with UP police. Afshan Ansari has assets worth 14 crore rupees. Now, Afshan has been under lens for a while now. For the timeline, if you look at it, of the case, in 2005, Afshan bought plots illegally and got ownership of these plots. In 2016, a case was registered for embezzlement of government funds. In 2019, a case has been registered for illegally occupying Kurk land. In 2021, charge sheet was filed in the court against Afshan Ansari. In 2022, the Mau police has declared Afshan Ansari as an absconder. And these are all as per news reports. Now, who is Mukhtar Ansari? He's a 5-time MLA from the Mau district and currently launched in the Banda jail. There are 54 criminal cases against him that include land grabbing, murder, extortion. He's been booked in 6 murder cases. His role is suspect under MLA Rai's murder. And also, Benami assets worth upward of 125 crore have so far been identified. Assets worth 192 crore so far have been either demolished or already attached. And a big update coming through where Pak Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari will be attending the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Foreign Ministers meeting in Goa on the 4th and 5th of May. And the Pak Foreign Minister has said that Pakistan will not raise any bilateral issues with India during the SCO meet. They will respect the sanctity of the SCO. He also said that the Pak Foreign Office working on bilateral issues with India and are taking input from government and political parties. He went on to say that Pakistan will follow the rules and regulations of the SCO.
I think कि जहाँ तक SCO का सवाल है, हर हुकूमत, पिछला हुकूमत और ये हुकूमत, we are both just as committed to the SCO as an organization. और इस organization की अहमियत इंशाल्लाह ताला सब members ने इसकी अहमियत समझा है और जिस direction में इंशाल्लाह ताला ये organization जाएगा इसका असरात हमारा region के लिए और दुनिया भर के लिए अच्छा रहेगा. तो हमारा जो experience रहा जब हम उज़्बेकिस्तान में SCO के functions पे जा रहे थे वहाँ भी हमारा बहुत से ममालिक थे मगर जो हमारे दरमियान एक दूसरे के बायलैटरल इश्यूज थे हमने उस फोरम में हम इन इश्यूज को नहीं उठाते हैं.
Now, on Pakistan's participation in the SCO summit, the Ministry of External Affairs on Thursday has said that it would not be appropriate to focus on one particular member.
We have been inviting all SCO member states and some inviting countries, of course, for events under our presidency that is underway. Specifically for the SCO foreign ministers meeting that is scheduled to take place in Goa on May 4th and 5th. We had extended similar invitations to all SCO member states, and we look forward to a successful meeting. It would not be really appropriate to focus on participation by any one particular country.
And sharing with you a News18 special story. The details are available on news18.com, but we're given to understand here on the network that cocktail drugs, they are under the lens and the centre will be banning fixed dose combinations. This is a massive crackdown as the centre is mulling a ban on cocktail drugs. Now, what are cocktail drugs? The central government or the union government has told the country's apex drugs controller to regulate the market of fixed dose combination drugs in the country, an issue pending for several months now. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has told the Drug Controller General of India to act on the list of cocktail medicines which have proven to contain irrational drug combinations. The Central Drug Standard Control Organization has drawn up a list of 19 FDCs or fixed dose combinations which were deemed irrational combinations. The list has already been reviewed by the expert committee. Sources say the ministry has given instructions to act swiftly on these FDCs. The work is in progress in the DCGI's office and the ban may be announced in a phased manner. Now, apart from banning cocktail medicines, the DCGI may also focus on banning codeine-based medicines in a phased manner. This has come after several MPs have raised concerns that codeine-based medicines were being used more as narcotics than medicines. So why are these cocktail drugs actually under lens? Because a lax regulatory framework has allowed several unscientific combinations to flood the market. There are also fears that this may increase drug resistance in people. In 2016, the ministry had started a drive to filter out irrational drug combinations from the Indian pharmaceutical industry by banning around 350 FDCs. This impacted over 2,700 branded drugs. But what are these fixed dose combinations or FDCs? Fixed dose combinations means a combination of two or more drugs in a single pill, developed to target multiple diseases or conditions. Fixed dose combinations are also called cocktail drugs. Have a look at this report by Himani.
What does fixed dose combination drugs mean? Fixed dose combination drugs, also known as cocktail medicines, are the medicines that contain more than one medicine but in just one pill. Now, why these drugs are under the scanner? These drugs are under the scanner due to the lax regulatory regime, due to which several irrational, unscientific combinations have flooded the Indian market. Experts also fear that these drugs lead to drug resistance among people. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare have asked the Drug Controller General of India to take action on the list where we know that these are the drugs that contain the irrational scientific combinations, and according to the sources, the work has already begun at CDSCO. The idea behind manufacturing such drugs was to increase the compliance among the patients which were required to take more medicines at one particular time of a day for a longer treatment regime. Now, in 2016, the centre had already acted on this and began a drive which ended up banning 350 FDCs in India, which impacted over 2,700 brands.
But that's all we have time for in this edition of The Right Stand. Stay with us. Brass Tacks after a short break.
When you talk of only one kind of caste, one kind of people, it is nothing but pure parochial politics.
All right. Aishwarya Mahadev, why reduce it just to parochial identities just because there is an election coming up? Had that election not been there, would Siddaramaiah have publicly tweeted about this?
Did Congress speak about this when the earlier operations took place? No, they welcomed the government.
Okay. Let Aishwarya respond, yeah.
We don't need any lessons on any evacuation programs because from the Gulf War, post that also, the UP has done its responsibility. When you talk about a parochial mindset, sir, I will not even engage in that, because if Mr. Siddaramaiah had not spoken about these 31 Kannadigas who are part of his state, who are his people, would you have even known about the plight of the thousands of others? You would not. Would you have even made that contact with them? You would have not. And this is not the first time. Twitter has been an asset for people in order of communication from the time of Ms. Sushma Swaraj onwards. A lot of these responses and these sort of requests have come up, and the government, when it's convenient for them, they say we did this, and the power of social media. Okay. But when an opposition leader raises the voice for his people, it becomes parochial.
All right.
And so let me remind you, during COVID, what happened? It was each to their own. It was every state for themselves. It was migrants from UP, Bihar, migrants from here, there, whatever, while the central government stayed blank. While Karnataka also offered shelter, Karnataka looked after its own. I do not believe at any point you talk about this larger idea of a parochial mindset, but tell me, would you have voluntarily have offered up the
Ratan
fact that something
Sharda, final word. I got to wrap up after that.
The people of what is happening?
Yeah, let him respond.
Absolutely not.
Final word, Ratan Sharda. I got to wrap up after that, Aishwarya. Thank you. Please yield. Yeah, thank you.
The first bit of Siddaramaiah, no Congress leader has spoken of all the 3,000 people. And again, to believe that, because I said every party has done its bit for evacuation, and do you think that government is sleeping till you make a tweet? This is how the government works? Sorry. Government eyes and ears are always open. They have evacuated people as and when, with complete courage, complete commitment. And you keep on speaking for last press only of 31 Kannadigas. That is the problem. 3,000 include Kannadiga. Now, for example, CNN didn't say which state this particular person was on the panel. They said Indian. So what's the harm in that? So that is why I say problem is your over propagandization of every issue, and that is what is going to hurt you, not the government or India.
All right. Okay. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. I want to first go across to Prabhu, who is an Indian national who's stranded in Sudan. I'll also be joined in a moment by Aishwarya Mahadev of the Congress. Ratan Sharda, RSS researcher and author, is also joining us. Prabhu, first things first. आपका स्थिति अभी कैसा है? आपका जो डेली नीड्स हैं, आप वो कैसे मैनेज कर रहे हैं? कहाँ पे फंसे हैं और आप कितने लोग हैं जो फंसे हैं सुडान में?
खाने के लिए तो हम लोग जो इस घर में आए थे, रेंट ले लिया था, तो जब भी हमारे पास ना दुकान खुली हुई थी, तो रोज लाके खाना बना के खाते थे, दुकान सामने ही थी, तो हम स्टॉक नहीं.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zakir Jacob. There's been a terror attack in Poonch in Jammu on an army truck in which 5 Jawans have been killed and 1 seriously injured. The truck was travelling alone after administrative duty of the Jawans therein. The travel was only for a short distance. Terrorists from the nearby forest laid an ambush and attacked the Jawans. We're told that grenades were also used and a massive search operation is on right now. It's likely that the terrorists went back and disappeared into the forest. An offshoot of the Lashkar-e-Taiba has claimed responsibility, but 2 things indeed do stand out. This is the first big terror attack in the Union Territory in recent times, and the timing of this attack, a month before a crucial G20 meeting in Srinagar, begs the question, was this an attempt to derail the G20 meeting? First, let's take you through what the army is saying. The incident happened about 3 o'clock this afternoon when an army vehicle was fired on by unidentified terrorists in the Poonch Rajouri sector. The vehicle caught fire because of a likely use of grenade by terrorists. 5 personnel of the Rashtriya Rifles deployed for counter-terrorist operations in that area have been killed. 1 soldier is seriously injured and is fighting for his life. Operations are in progress to locate the perpetrators. This is a densely forested area, and it's likely that the ambush was laid by these terrorists from inside the forest, waited for this truck to arrive. The attack then happened, and it's likely that they have now made good once again back into the forests of that area. Meanwhile, an offshoot of the Lashkar, People's Anti-Fascist Front, the PFF, has claimed responsibility. How did they carry out this attack? Here's what we know so far. It's possible that the attackers were waiting for an ambush. The terrain has natural caves and thickly populated forests, if you will. There they had been taking shelter, is what we are given to understand. There is low visibility as well. There was the increased challenge for the soldiers because of rains and inclement weather. Despite the movement being a short one, this truck was traveling alone. It was not part of a convoy. We're also learning that bullets were fired on the soldiers and grenades were lobbed. If you look at the pictures, there's a massive fire on that truck, and that couldn't have happened just by bullets alone. The line of control is not far from the attack site, but it's too early to say if the attackers had crossed over recently. Let me go across to our battery of reporters. Tejinder is joining us live from Jammu. Arunima is joining us live from Delhi. She covers the Home Ministry. Akash is also joining us from our newsroom covering the Defence Ministry. Tejinder, let me start with you first. What are local sources there, both police as well as in the army, telling you in terms of, do we know how many perpetrators there were and where have they managed to escape to? Because I believe the last time an attack like this happened in this very same area, it took the army about 2 weeks or almost 3 weeks to actually find the perpetrators.
See, Zaka, the operation which you are referring to is still on. The operation which started in October 2021, it has not been officially called off. We lost 9 soldiers in that operation. But if you see the modus operandi, how the PFF, the offshoot of the Jaish and Lashkar works, they work in a group of 2 to 3 terrorists, and whenever they carry out a terror attack on the armed forces, they usually carry a body camera with them. They record that attack. We are told that today the terror attack which took place, there is possibility that a group of 2 to 3 terrorists, they were involved in this terror attack. Whether this is the same terror group which carried out the attack in 2021, wherein we lost 9 soldiers, it is yet to be ascertained, because since then the operation in the area to flush out those terrorists is still on. And if you also remember, Zaka, just at the beginning of this year, there was a terror attack in the Dangri village of Rajouri district, and that place is not also too far away from this area, and those terrorists who were involved in the Dangri terror attack, they are also still at large. They haven't either been nabbed or neutralized. So the operation to neutralize those terrorists involved in the Dangri terror incident, they are still, the operation is still on. And as Arunima, my colleague who covers Ministry of Home Affairs, rightly reported that there have been inputs with the security agencies that terrorists are planning to carry out a major terror strike in Jammu region post the Dangri terror incident. There are inputs that a similar kind of terror attack could be carried out in Jammu region, and that too days before the crucial G20 meeting that is going to take place in Kashmir. You see, just a couple of days ago, Pakistan had expressed its resentment over India holding a G20 meeting in Kashmir, and today this attack came on the day when Pakistan Foreign Minister made a statement that Bilawal Bhutto, the Pakistan Foreign Minister, would be coming to India to attend the SCO meeting to be held in Goa. Yes, Zaka.
Okay, so let me ask Arunima this. What are your top Home Ministry sources telling you? Are they worried that this may be linked to the upcoming G20 meeting? Was that the target, if you will, in as much as to try and send out a chilling effect? And more importantly, what do we know about this terror outfit, PFF? Is it just Lashkar by another name?
officials both in North and South Block as well as those who are there in Jammu and Kashmir. And three things. One, that the sequence of events seems to be that there was firing at least from three sides. The first bullet perhaps came from the driver's side, then from the conductor's side and frontal as well. So when this kind of firing happens, the assessment in the security grid seems to be that at least three, if not more, terrorists were involved. If that kind of group we are looking at, between 3 to 5 is what they are speculating at the moment. We're just all praying that the sole eyewitness, the survivor who's critically injured, can be in a position to give a statement. He survives this attack, and then there'll be more clarity. But at least 3 could be more. Terrorists were involved in this. That's number one. Number two, what they're saying is that there are a number of natural caves in this particular area that's very close to the line of control. So when we asked them that was there any kind of local support, how did these terrorists know that an army vehicle was to move in this particular area? What we are being told by officials is that this terrain is such that only army vehicles move. So if you've managed to cross the line of control and you're waiting there with an ambush, 9 out of 10 times you would only come across a military vehicle. So the terrorists got lucky this time around. They targeted this military vehicle. There was a road opening party, that's what we are told, but that was the solitary vehicle there. Right now what's happening is that there are attempts on to get the best medical aid for the sole survivor.
Okay.
2, there is a search operation that is going on where the police, the paramilitary, the military, they're all involved. Intelligence officials are also carrying out meetings on their part to figure out, what really went on. PAFF is a front which was like October 2021 attack, which Jinder has already told you, but their names started cropping up only post 2020 when the FATF scrutiny began. So their cadre, we are told, is mixed. If you see the Ministry of Home Affairs notification when PFF was banned, they called it a Jaish front, but if you speak to officials on the ground, they'll tell you it is both Lashkar and Jaish cadre mixed, and the imprint of the way this organization works makes it look like more Lashkar, and this is the area of dominance, this area of Rajouri, Poonch, Bhimbal Valley.
Akash, very quickly, one of the things that stands out in this attack is that this truck was traveling alone. Particularly after Pulwama in 2019, I believe SOPs had been revised. It was said that no truck will travel alone. What are MOD sources, what are Army sources telling you as to why this truck was traveling alone?
Right. So Arunima has mentioned it several times. It was a short movement, Zaka, and in fact, this truck was on administrative duty. So normally we see such movements, but I'll mention this very fact that we have one of our Jawan who is critically injured, and he is the only survivor in this particular attack. Yes, he is critically injured, but officers are saying that the whole focus is on his safety as of now, because he is the only one who can narrate the whole story. Yes, speculations are on. In fact, investigation has started. We are learning that such operation has started. In fact, they are looking for those terrorists, but the fact is that we have one Jawan who is critically injured, and only he is the one who can narrate the whole story. Yes, it was a short movement. Initially, it was like that, army officers were suspecting that this was just a vehicle caught fire, and then we have, our Jawan injured and all of the things. But then later they realized that this was a terrorist attack, and now they're confirming that we have lost 5 lives. Yes, such operation is on, and the latest development is that all the commander level officers are on ground. They are ascertaining the facts that are related to the particular incident. We'll get to know as to what is the truth in this whole story.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to all my colleagues, Tejinder, Arunima and Akash, for joining us. Let me now open this up to our guests, because a couple of things, like I said, are worrisome. One, this comes about a month or so before that big G20 meeting in Srinagar. So was this attempt by the terrorists to try and send out some kind of chilling effect ahead of that meeting? And secondly, we have to ask this question. I mean, there were certain protocols, SOPs that were revised and put in place after Pulwama. Were those followed? If they were not followed, why? Let me bring in our guests who are joining us. SP Vaid is former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, Lieutenant General retired KJ Singh, former GOC&C of the Western Command, Major General retired Sanjay Soy, defense expert, and retired Major General KK Sinha, defense analyst, all of whom have, by the way, served in Kashmir at different points of time in their career. But Vaid Saab, let me start with you first. Again, just paint this area for our viewers, because we know that a similar attack happened in October 2021, a similar modus operandi where terrorists lay an ambush from inside the forest, attack an army convoy or a paramilitary convoy, and then quickly once again disappear back into the forest in a way that it becomes very difficult for the security forces to trace them down. Are you seeing a similar playbook in today's attack as well?
Zaka, something almost similar, because see, if you recall, even that group was had infiltrated, done its job, and inflicted casualties. And after that, we couldn't lay hand on that group. And we suffered about 9 casualties, if I recall correctly. See, this area is thickly forested. You have terrain is very, very difficult. And today I'm speaking from Jammu. The weather is very, very bad today. It's all raining and cloudy, and is drizzling as well. And Poonch, being hilly area, must be even worse than what I see from here. So weather is very bad. Otherwise, this area, is a very apt place for an ambush like this. And initially, when truck caught fire, people thought it is something as like it's actually bijli gadak rahi hai. People thought probably bijli giri hai. And later on, it was realized that it was an ambush, because when grenade is lobbed, and if a splinter of the grenade hits the fuel tank, it catches fire.
Correct.
And that is what has happened, and bullet injuries also are there. And I think driver was hit, targeted first, and that is generally the well-planned ambush which is done. Because if you are able to neutralize the driver, the vehicle will lose its control, and that the others will not be able to retaliate. So that is what has happened.
I believe, and Arunima was sort of reporting about this earlier as well, that the attack happened from 3 different sides: from the driver's side, from the front of the vehicle, and also from the back. So it clearly shows that this was an orchestrated attack involving more than 2 or 3 persons. Let me ask Lieutenant General KJ Singh, the critical thing that everyone is asking is this in any way timed to or related to the G20 meeting that's coming up in Srinagar next month? And if it is, then how should India respond?
Zaka, Jai Hind. It is definitely related to that. There was some kind of meeting also which had taken place. We are told MHA had held a meeting, and a warning was put out that there would be such kind of, there is a possibility of such kind of incidents taking place. So definitely linked with the oncoming G20 meeting between 22nd and 24th May at Srinagar. Any mischievous element would like to derail such a meeting, which has a salutary effect of conveying normalcy in Valley. Now, how should we respond? This question is, first is immediate response is medical care of the 6th person who's injured. There is a search operation going on. There is combing going on. There would be intelligence operation going on to check out where these people are. So one thing is to comb that area firstly and localize those people and then deal with them. Now this is difficult because it has been said by DGP Vaid and others, 10 kilometers from LOC, heavily forested, cave area. This area is called Narkhas, Bhimbar Gali. So hilly and raining, bad visibility. All factors are against people who are operating there. But I wish them luck. They are resolute people. They have resilience. I hope because we have not been able to get hold of the group which operated in October 21 and also the group which operated in January this year, which carried out attack in Dangri village in Rajouri.
Yeah.
So we have to get hold of this group. And there is a canard being put out that this is a new group, PAFF. They have taken up these names, People's Anti-Fascist Front, like TRF had come up earlier.
Yeah, correct.
The Resistance Front, to fool the Financial Action Task Force. That's the basic motive of these groups. And Zaka, I'm sure government is will be looking at many options. It will share these inputs with Pakistan. Will tell them,
Yeah.
and it will also uh, wait initially for cooperation from their side, so that they help us in nabbing these people. Or but if we get definite inputs about a base which is close to LOC from where they are being launched, then don't get surprised if there is a localized action on that.
Okay,
It
don't be
can well
surprised
take
if there
place.
is localized action. But let me also get in, General Soy. One aspect is, and the government of India has been stressing this since 5th of August 2019, since Article 370 was abrogated, the number of terrorist incidents has consistently come down in the Kashmir Valley. In fact, in 2018, the calendar year of 2018, just before Article 370 was abrogated, there were over 200 terrorist incidents. In that year, 2019, it came down to 135, then 140, 153, 151. And this year in 2023, so far, in the first 3 months, only 11 incidents have been reported so far. Is this attack, today's attack, also an attempt by the terrorists to blow holes in that narrative that normalcy is returning to Kashmir?
Yes, Zaka, absolutely right. Absolutely, you are bang on target, because gradually, after Article 370 has been removed, the level of violence, the stone throwing is almost nil, and the number of terrorist incidents, loss of lives have reduced considerably. The number of tourists who are visiting the Kashmir is absolutely record numbers have gone. All the hotels are full, all the resorts are full. So normalcy is returning, which probably is not palatable to Pakistan, which is not palatable to the people who are against the peace or against the normalcy in the Kashmir. So this is, and now in the May, the G20 summit is there, which was again a major message to the world that we are normal, absolute things are normal, and which is a fact. So this incident, though will try to derail or maybe to try and set the narrative. However, I feel that this kind of thing, the sole incident or isolated incident, cannot change the overall scenario, overall peace efforts by the government of India and people of Kashmir, who are also now got used to the living a normal life. They start going to office, they start working, they're seeing the educational institute opening, the children studying, they're going to places all over India, and people from all over India and globe are visiting there. So they are also used to it. Probably that is not getting palatable to the Pakistan, which is very unfortunate, who themselves are facing the biggest problem, whether it is financial or a political crisis.
So let me ask General Sinha, on the Pakistan question, we know two things. One, today the Pakistan government announced that their Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto will be traveling to India for the SCO Foreign Ministers meeting next month. Also, this PAFF, or earlier TRF, are these just simply offshoots and different variations of either Lashkar-e-Taiba or the Jaish-e-Mohammed? Because ultimately, yes, as long as Pakistan was in the grey list of the FATF, they had to sort of rein in the workings of these groups. But now, these offshoots or organizations have cropped up with a new name only to circumvent the FATF action and the ambit of the FATF. Ultimately, the Pakistani deep state is still promoting these terror groups to cross over and attack India.
Good evening, Jaka and Jai Hind. First, my condolence to those 5 brave hearts who have lost their life and one who is surviving and fighting it out. Now, your 2 questions. You have asked 2 things. One thing, that Bilawal Bhutto is going to come for the SCO meeting. And second thing, you asked about those tanjeems which has taken a different form and names. First thing, I will touch, which is the larger aspect of the timings and these meetings, basically the SCO meeting and related to Pakistan. What happened? Pakistan is playing the double game, which we have not we have not slightly not trying to understand this. If we are understanding it, we are just pressing it out, to that everything is going to be, we'll be able to pass through the time sets or the meetings which we have planned in these areas. First thing, we have to understand that, when we have chosen a venue of G20 in Jammu and Kashmir,
Yeah.
it is the two people who have got, one is China, we are living in China, and second is Pakistan. It is a direct linkages. If this goes through, incident free, the thing is altogether a different messaging, which have got a strategic, implications, and it has got not only within the region, but all over the world.
Incidentally, both these countries, General Sinha, just a moment, both these countries had opposed to the G20 meeting happening in Srinagar, and the government of India went ahead despite whatever opposition these two countries had put up. Anyway, go on, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why this game is being played. I will just take you back, because the SCO you talked about, and this SCO meeting is first, which is going on. If you take your mind back, few days back, we had we have seen the changing of name of the 15 places in Arunachal Pradesh, when we had an official meeting of SCO in Arunachal Pradesh. China that day only, they were absentees on these, and they changed the name. So at that time also, when I take my mind and try it out, they did it intentionally, because they wanted to give a message that Arunachal Pradesh, what they clamored to 90,000 square kilometer in that area, which they are doing it in number of fronts.
Okay.
Whether it is border villages. Well, now the China angle is here also. China and Pakistan is not playing this game alone. China is playing along with them in a big way. And that's why your question is very relevant when you are asking about these TRF and PFF. They are not the offshoots. They are the same thing. Whether it is the name can change, we can do it and we can debate here on the TV. But a matter of the fact that when it comes down to the ground, it is the same. Only thing is, it is now being funded. It is now being armed, because today's in this incident, mind you, there is 7.62 bullet, which are the steel core bullets, which has been now recovered from the site. It has happened to the site, Bimbar Gali, 2 kilometers this side. And anyone who knows in this Krishna Ghati area, whether the Surankot area and where it has happened, this is the evidence, and you brought it out, that it has happened from 3 sides. It is absolutely planned. And few days back, when the chief of Pakistan Army visited in the forward area, there was something was raised. And one statement today, which has come by the Ministry of Defense of Pakistan, giving to because related to the election which has to be held in, and they have brought that raw if will do it. How the raw has come in there. And that same announcement is coming. Then Bilawal Bhutto is going to come and attend the SCO.
Okay.
Had a question mark.
Okay.
So, one second, I will take it. Just put the perspective and your questions. See, we have to understand, Rajaka. It has got a bigger application rather than by just focusing what happened in the incident. That lot of things where the SOPs and the protocols has been, because single vehicle moving without road opening at one particular time, army didn't come to know, because there were no reactions on ground. That can be taken care of.
Okay, so Vaid-Saab, I just want to, one question that begs to be asked, and I asked this to one of our reporters as well at the top of the show, particularly after Pulwama, the SOP for movement of trucks, movement of convoys was revised, was enhanced. I believe one of the standard operating procedures was that no truck will travel individually. In this case, we are given to understand that perhaps because it was a short distance, this truck was traveling alone, and the 5 Jawans who were traveling in it have been killed, and one other person who's the only other eyewitness, he is now struggling for his life. Do you think that lessons have still not been learned?
Zaka, I tend to agree with you. I'm sorry, I have the SOP is definitely not followed. It may be a short distance, but while traveling in such area, I think the proper SOP should have been followed, particularly after what happened in October 2021, and then attack in Rajouri, both the groups having not been apprehended or neutralized. So seeing the concerted effort from across to disturb Jammu region increasingly after suffering setback in Kashmir Valley. I think we have to be very, very careful, and SOP has to be followed very strictly. I think there is something amiss here. That's why we suffered. Otherwise, there would have been a retaliation if had also been followed.
Okay.
I recall 1990s when I was young ASP in Badgam. That time also the first attack, major attack in Badgam district happened on Gulmarg Road, and I still recall that scene when a milk army vehicle who used to ferry milk from Srinagar to Gulmarg was only with three people: driver, one LMG man, and another person with one carbine, and all
All
three
right.
are killed. And we are still, after so many years, again doing the same thing.
Yeah,
And
so the lessons need to be learned, and particularly after what we saw in Pulwama and like what Mr. Ved referred to about what happened in October 2021. We'll leave it at that for the moment. We'll see how this story progresses. The immediate priority, of course, would be to hunt down those who carried this out. And as Arunima was reporting a short while back, if the attack happened from 3 different parts, then it means it was a big one. Multiple terrorists were involved in this, and so this search operation could take days, if not weeks. Let me now move on to the other big story, which is a sessions court in Gujarat dismissed today Rahul Gandhi's plea to put a stay on his conviction in the defamation case. That means that he remains disqualified as a member of parliament. Is he likely to miss the boat for 2024? Because if he's not able to get a stay on his conviction, then it means he cannot contest elections for the next 8 years at least.
Rahul Gandhi remains disqualified as a member of parliament for now. A sessions court in Gujarat, Surat, rejected to put on hold his conviction in a defamation case. Rahul Gandhi had requested that his conviction be paused pending his appeal against a court order sentencing him to 2 years in jail in the defamation case. He had argued that the trial court treated him harshly after being overwhelmingly influenced by his status as an MP.
ये जो गलत कारणों से गलत कानूनी आधार पर 2 निर्णय आए हैं उनको चुनौती दी जाएगी और हमें आशा और विश्वास है कि जल्द से जल्द ये सही की जाएगी, गलती को ठीक किया जाएगा न्यायिक कानूनी रूप से.
The case is based on a complaint filed by BJP leader Poonch Modi, based on a speech that Rahul Gandhi gave in Karnataka's Kolar in 2019. The complainant claimed that Rahul Gandhi had defamed all people whose surname is Modi after this remark.
नीरव मोदी, ललित मोदी, नरेंद्र मोदी, इन सबके नाम मोदी 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 कैसे? ये सब चोरों के नाम मोदी 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 मोदी.
The BJP called the court order a slap in the face for the Gandhis.
अब जब सूरत के अपीलिएट कोर्ट का जजमेंट आया है, उसका वर्डिक्ट आया है, पूरे देश में खुशी का माहौल है. This is a, I would say, slap on the face of the arrogance of the Gandhi family.
Rahul Gandhi's conviction and disqualification triggered Congress's rivals like the Aam Aadmi Party, Trinamool Congress and Bharat Rashtra Samiti to openly speak out in his support. After being found guilty, Gandhi was sentenced to 2 years in prison. 2 years is the maximum sentence a lawmaker must face in order to be dismissed from parliament, and also the maximum sentence under the defamation law. The disqualification is for 6 years. If you put that together, that's 8 years that Rahul Gandhi won't be able to contest elections. So is he out of the 2024 race?
All right, I want to first go across to Member of Parliament and one of the chief legal eagles of the Congress Party, Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, is joining us. Dr. Singhvi, first things first, this is what the court said today, the Sessions Court, as it rejected Mr. Rahul Gandhi's appeal. It said, and I quote, you cannot dispute the fact that the appellant was a Member of Parliament, President of the second largest party. Looking at the appellant's stature, he should have been more careful. Any defamatory words are sufficient enough to cause mental agony. Surely, the court is also of the view that Rahul Gandhi, for the position that he occupies, should not have indulged in this kind of defamatory comments. And that's why your appeal has been rejected.
Zaka, that is one of the many, many clear patent errors
and unsustainability of the judgment, which will be shortly challenged in the High Court. Is it a valid reason that irrespective of the balance of convenience, irrespective of the consequences which will flow if you don't stay conviction, you will go on a test that you are a leader of a political party? Is that relevant in any manner? Today, we are not hearing the appeal. Today, what he was hearing was whether a stay of conviction is warranted or not.
Yeah.
Tell me which is a simpler case, a lesser case, where a stay of conviction can be granted. Is it a murder charge he was facing? Was he facing a Prevention of Corruption Act charge? You have granted stay of conviction in several murder cases, including Sidhu's case, which is quoted in page 3 or 4 of that judgment. You have granted stay of conviction in Prevention of Corruption cases, which is quoted in Sareen's case, quoted in that judgment which you are holding in your hand. If you see the first 7 pages of the judgment, they are simply quotations and extracts from 10 Supreme Court judgments, with certain parts underlined, saying why you should not grant a stay of conviction. Unfortunately, the judge fails to realize, the learned judge fails to realize that the underlined portions, in fact, underline the stark contrast of those cases which he's citing and Rahul Gandhi's case. That point is missed altogether. Really speaking, the simplest case ever, where it is the mildest form of a case where it should be granted a stay of conviction, can be defamation. Point number 2, there are cases cited in those same first 7 pages that say that you must show the consequences and demonstrate the irreparable, irreversible consequences if I don't grant you stay of conviction. He has cited those cases, underline the lines. I want to ask you, what other consequence will you show, Zaka, other than the fact that a duly elected member of parliament, while your first appeal is pending, you're not a convict, ultimately you're a convict by one court, that to a magistrate's court, your appeal is pending, till such time, what is the balance of convenience? Suppose he wins this appeal, which is pending before the same judge. Can you give him back those 10 days or 12 days of the last session which he missed? Can you give him back the whole monsoon session which he may miss? So irreversible prejudice is the test which the judge is quoting himself.
No, but
he's not realizing that there is no other way of showing irreversible prejudice than a disqualification.
Can I just quote one second, Dr. Singhvi? Can I quote what the judge has said in his order today? What the judges have said in their order today? There should be a rare and exceptional case made out which the defense has failed to do for a grant of stay. And the portion that you are referring to, the defense failed in demonstrating that by not staying the conviction, irreversible damage has been caused to their client. Now, my question is, what is the irreversible damage? I'm presuming that the judges are saying irreversible damage means a case of life and death. It's not like Rahul Gandhi's life or has been thrown into question because the conviction has not been stayed.
Dhaka, you're misunderstanding the test. The test is not life and death. This provision, which the learned judge is interpreting, is created specifically for public life persons who, absent a stay of conviction, will be disqualified from holding that seat.
Yes.
He can seek nothing more than a stay of disqualification because the consequences are A, you can't attend parliament, B, you lose your seat, C, if time goes on, the election commission is entitled to re-notify election. D, it will thrust upon the people of India the cost of an election. And after 10 days of that, or 3 months of that, if Rahul Gandhi wins his case, if he succeeds in his appeal.
No, but can you demonstrate, Dr. Singhvi, that this is irreversible damage? How is this irreversible damage? That's what the court is asking.
It is irreversible because while his first appeal is pending, for a short while, the simplest way is to expedite the appeal and to give a stay of his disqualification. Why should you have a fresh election there? Suppose you have a fresh election, this term of Rahul Gandhi goes, it's irreversible.
Okay, the court is also saying that the appellant has not made any case to suspend the conviction recorded against him, and the avenues are open to challenge the judgment given by the lower court. The appeal is pending. The court is also citing that. So, you know, again, I come back to that point. You
When you
have
seek
further legal
stay of
recourses
conviction.
available to you. Why do you need a stay of conviction?
It's amazing. The stay of conviction is only sought when the appeal is pending. When else is it sought? When else will it be sought? The stay of conviction is sought precisely because the appeal is pending. I may win my appeal tomorrow. Till then, don't disqualify me. I mean, it's turning the whole thing on its head, and just see the third or fourth page of the judgment you are holding.
Mm.
Do you have the judgment in your hand? Does it cite Navjot Sidhu?
Yes. Yes.
Did Navjot Sidhu get a stay of conviction after having been accused of murder? M-U-R-D-E-R. See the first case before that on the second or third page. It's a Sareen's case. See the last paragraph of that, underlined by the learned judge. It is a case of corruption, Prevention of Corruption Act conviction.
Okay.
Now, you may, even in those cases, stay is granted. Why will stay not be granted in defamation case while the main appeal is pending?
All right.
Tomorrow, can you restore the lost portion of last session? Will you restore the next lost portion of the monsoon session? Will you restore the seat in case the election commission announces the election? All are irreversible. Completely irreversible.
Okay.
On the face of it.
We'll leave it at that, Dr. Singhvi. We'll see how this plays out. Of course, Dr. Singhvi has said that they will be moving the High Court to try and grant relief to Rahul Gandhi by way of stay of conviction. Let me open this also up to our panelists who are joining us, and I want to take this into the political realm. Nalin Kohli, spokesperson of the BJP, is joining us, and Advocate Mahima Singh, spokesperson of the Congress, is joining us. Nalin, we've dealt with the legalese. I want to talk politics. Here you have, and the Congress party, the entire Congress machinery is going into overdrive to portray Rahul Gandhi as a victim of a system that is out to get him, a system that they are calling high-handed, a system that they believe is out to crush all democratic forces, vilify opposition, agencies are unleashed on opposition politicians, so on and so forth. And we're already seeing, that narrative in full flow in the Karnataka elections. Are you not worried politically that if the entire opposition is banding together and setting this narrative, this could hurt your party?
I completely disagree with the political narrative of the Congress party, and as a practicing lawyer, I equally disagree with the legal narrative that they are putting out there. And I'll address both of them together. Why has Mr. Rahul Gandhi faced a conviction? Because he came out with an unsavory remark in 2019 saying, why do people with the surname Modi, why are they all thieves? That is the reason why he has a conviction of 2 years in a defamation case. He apologized before the Supreme Court in 2018. In 2019, he commits the same thing. So if Mr. Rahul Gandhi was a little more careful with his words, had he apologized, which even today he hasn't, he today still stands by his statement by saying, I'm not a Savarkar who will apologize. That means he believes that his statement is correct and good. He says this is a fight for truth. Abusing all people with a Modi surname who are from the OBC community is a fight for truth, is a fight in national interest, as the Congress calls it. Now let's understand the legal part, which is also a narrative.
Can I ask one counter question?
It's a political point.
Yeah, Nalin, give me 1 second. Can I ask one counter question? The Congress's argument is also that nowhere in those comments in Kolar, Mr. Gandhi refers to 3 Modis by name: Narendra Modi, Lalit Modi, and Nirav Modi. None of the Modis who he has referred to by name are party to this case. This is a completely unrelated person who he did not name coming and filing the case, and there's a conviction of defamation on that case.
So that 2 answers to that, and it's not complicated. I'll disagree with that too, both as a lawyer and as a political person. The first is, he says, ye Modi naam wale sare log chor kyun hote hain? That means he extended the scope of that. He didn't say ye teeno Modi chor kyun hote hain, which would have been then restricting it, because he couldn't dare have said it. He would have sued by all 3 of them. So he then went by expanding it by saying ye sare Modi surname wale chor kyun hote hain? Play the bite. And the second part of this is, that is why you have abused the community. And even today, he is not apologizing to the community. And what does he want? A reward? A Bharat Ratna for coming up with a statement like this? Now let me come to the political argument, which is equally incorrect, legally and politically. Let's understand why is Mr. Dr. Singhvi is trying to say, he will tomorrow maybe be let off. This was the whole idea of Dr. Manmohan Singh's ordinance in 2013 when the Lily Thomas case led to the removal of section 8(4), which is what it gave a convicted political person, an MP or an MLA, a 3-month window. The Supreme Court removes it. Dr. Manmohan Singh and the then Law Minister, Mr. Kapil Sibal, bring an ordinance which Mr. Rahul Gandhi, uninvited to his own party's press conference, barges in, tears it and says it should go in the dustbin. So today, why should the law be different for him? 32 or 33 people have faced the same consequence. So now Dr. Singhvi or his legal team finds it convenient to say, no, suppose he is reversed. That is what section 8(4) was. That is what the ordinance was supposed to be. So Rahul Gandhi ji, respectfully, is paying the consequences of his intemperate comments and his intemperate action.
Okay, so
and why should the rest of the country and everyone stand up and say that the BJP should be blamed?
On the one hand, you are claiming political victimhood. You are saying sympathy factor. But how can anyone have sympathy for someone who, as Nalin says, barges into a press conference, tears up an ordinance that was brought for exactly purposes such as this, that politicians, legislators, parliamentarians are not held guilty for defamation, and thereby the consequence of that, losing membership of the legislature or the parliament, does not befall them. That's why that clause was introduced. So what has cost Mr. Gandhi is his own hubris and his own exuberance. So why are you now trying to play victim?
मैं रोशनी था मुझे फैलते ही जाना था वो बुझ गए जो चिराग समझते रहे मुझे. That is the story of truth, Zaka, and I think my leader Shri Rahul Gandhi embodies that truth. And even when he acted in 2013, the action in question, and even when he is acting today, I think he's acting for the truth that he believes in. He's acting for the righteousness that our constitution stands for. He's acting for all those guarantees that the democracy brings along. What has happened today is just a stage, Zaka. You see, first appeal is a stage in a legal battle. It's not the stage. So the BJP may rejoice, as one of the chief spokespersons, Mr. Patra, has held a press conference this evening and has said that desh mein khushi ka mahal hai, which I don't think we have seen any glimpses of anywhere, because the country today is agonized, not only with the inflation and unemployment record at a record levels, but also, after Satyapal Malik ji's revelations, the country is today in absolutely, in an absolute shock, because we are hoping for answers. Instead, what's happening today is, we are debating around an issue where Rahul Gandhi ji is in, it's a process, an ongoing process.
Ma'am, can I ask one question? As a lawyer, you are well aware of these defamation cases. Usually, these are quashed at the preliminary stage itself, or if it gets into trial and so on, the person concerned comes and apologizes. We've seen n number of cases, including in the case of Mr. Gandhi himself, who has in a previous defamation case apologized. Now, my question is, why was that not done in this case? And why is that not being done even now? All it takes to say is that I was referring to specific individuals, not to a larger community. Why is there no expression of regret for words that were, ill-used?
On that, Zaka, I would like to remind you of Ms. Khushbu Sundar's very similar remarks, back in 2019. And let me just say, although Mr. Singhvi has, being the veteran that he is, touched upon most of the, relevant parts of this judgment and the grounds, the very sustainable grounds that we'll be relying upon while we invoke the constitutional powers of the appellate courts, let me just say that, the BJP spokesperson, with due respect, I say, that he just talked about RG's that statement, and he urged you to play it out. Please do play it out, because that will immediately prove my case, because he said, उन्होंने कहा सारे मोदी चोर होते हैं. Sorry, his remark was, इन सारे चोरों का नाम मोदी क्यों है? I think he is referring and indicating towards the political favoritism that we have seen in the past 8 years at behest of our very honorable Prime Minister, who stands there as a leader of all of us, of the entire population. I may not have voted for him, but he still is my Prime Minister.
Okay.
So I believe when Rahul Gandhi ji said that from the very kolar, where he has couple of days back invoked the government.
No, no.
To
So
please
I want to be very clear about this. You are saying he did not say सारे मोदी चोर हैं. He simply said ये सारे चोर
इन
के
सारे
नाम.
चोरों मोदी क्यों हैं और ढूंढने निकलेंगे तो और भी मिल जाएंगे. That's what he said, and that
Okay.
clearly indicates that Prime Minister Modi's government has given
So
undue privileges.
all the more reason why your case in court should have been that you are not trying to defame an entire community which has the surname Modi.
Yeah, not, which is a clear case. You see, Mr. Singhvi has pointed out to the 3 paragraphs in today's
Okay.
verdict, where the judge's contention is, where the judge's point is that the insult is hurled at Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, and then the complainant should have been the Prime Minister or
All
one
right,
of the.
I got to wrap up. I'm completely out of time. It's a truncated debate tonight because of the big story that came in from Poonch. But thank you very much both to Nadan Kohli as well as to Mahima Singh. We'll see how this plays out. Like I said, it'll play out in the court of law, which of course is the legal process that was outlined by the lawyers on the panel, and then of course there is the court of public opinion, where in Karnataka you will see the first big political sort of fallout of these comments and this entire saga surrounding Rahul Gandhi. Talking about Karnataka, we'll round off with a story from the poll-bound state where the BJP has found a link between the slain gangster Atiq Ahmed to one of the Congress Party's star campaigners, Imran Pratapgarhi. But will it find resonance among the voters of Karnataka? Thank you for tuning in.
The chilling murder of gangster Atiq Ahmed and his brother Ashraf in Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj have managed to become a talking point in poll-bound Karnataka. It happened after the Congress included Rajya Sabha MP Imran Pratapgarhi's name in its list of star campaigners for the upcoming elections. Union Minister Shobha Karandlaje claimed a connection between Imran Pratapgarhi and Atiq Ahmed.
ಇಮ್ರಾನ್ ಪ್ರತಾಪ್ ಗಡಿಯ ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಆತಿಕ್ ಅಹಮದ್ ನನ್ನ ಗುರು, ಆತಿಕ್ ಅಹಮದ್ ನನ್ನ ಬ್ರದರು, ನನ್ನ ಬಾಯಿ. ಆತಿಕ್ ಅಹಮದ್ಗೆ ಶಹರಿ ಬರೀತಾ ಇದ್ರು.
BJP leader Amit Malviya tweeted an undated video of Imran Pratapgarhi in which he's seen praising Atiq Ahmed. The Congress defended naming Imran Pratapgarhi as a star campaigner for the party.
Imran Pratapgarhi is the chairman of our minority cell and he will be coming. What is wrong in that? We are not saying that someone who is coming, who is under that, who had committed some crime, who is behind the bars, we are not doing that.
Imran Pratapgarhi, a poet-turned-politician, lost the 2019 Lok Sabha elections on a Congress ticket from Uttar Pradesh's Moradabad. He had participated in the anti-CAA NRC protests at Delhi Shaheen Bagh in 2020. In 2021, he was chosen to lead the AICC's minority department. And last year, he was nominated to the Rajya Sabha from Maharashtra. Whether he will be a crowd puller in Karnataka is in itself a question mark. So will his link to Atiq Ahmed find any resonance in Karnataka?
An author is also joining us. Prabhu, first things first. आपका स्थिति अभी कैसा है? आपका जो डेली नीड्स हैं, आप वो कैसे मैनेज कर रहे हैं? कहाँ पे फंसे हैं और आप कितने लोग हैं जो फंसे हैं सूडान में?
खाने के लिए तो हम लोग जो इस घर में आए थे, रेंट ले लिया था, तो जब भी हमारे पास ना दुकान खुली हुई थी तो रोज लाके खाना बना के खाते थे, दुकान सामने ही थी, तो हम स्टार्ट नहीं किया था, हमने रोज लाने का खाना पका के खाने का ये काम करते थे हम लोग
जी।
तो हमें कोई मैसेज नहीं मिली है ऐसा कुछ यहाँ फायर होने वाला है, तो हम कोई मैसेज नहीं मिली हम स्टार्ट करने के लिए, तो एक साथ ही ऐसा फायर होने लगा, तो हम इमरजेंसी पूरा डोर लॉक करना पड़ा, तो हम अंदर ही लॉक होना पड़ा, तो बाहर का सिचुएशन मालूम होने के लिए हमको 4 से 5 दिन लग गया।
जी।
तो हमारे पास ना जो भी बचे हुए थे, जो अनाज, उसको ही खाए, पानी पिए। 4 दिन तक हमने खाना तो नहीं खाया था। हमने जो पानी था टोटी में पानी था कुआं में, वो
हाँ।
पानी ही पिया सब लोग ने। और बाद में पानी खत्म हो जाने के बाद बहुत परेशानी हुई हमको।
प्रभु ये
और
बताइए कि
परसों
सरकार की
एक
तरफ
10
से कोई कम्युनिकेशन है आया है आपके पास, किसी ने रीच आउट किया है, किसी ने ये कहा है कि आपको वहां से इवैक्यूएट करेंगे, और अगर ऐसा मैसेज आएगा तो क्या आप वहां से निकलना चाहेंगे या आप वहीं रहना चाहेंगे जब तक ये वॉर खत्म ना हो जाए?
अभी तो ये चूज करने के लिए हमारे पास तो कोई आइडियोलॉजी नहीं है, क्योंकि हमको मदद मिली नहीं है। यहाँ पे किसी से भी मदद नहीं मिली है। अभी इसको चूज करने का हमारे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, यहाँ रहेंगे या इंडिया जाएंगे।
ओके।
हमारे को कोई समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, क्योंकि हम बाहर जा नहीं सकते, फायरिंग हुआ है। सरकार की तरफ से हमारे को मदद मिल जाएगी, इंडिया बुलाया जाएगा तो हम आने के लिए तैयार है।
आप
हमारे
कितने
पास ना एक
कितने
रुपये भी
लोग
नहीं
हो
है कि
प्रभु?
हम इधर के
आप
लिए।
कितने लोग हो और कहाँ, मतलब सुदान में अलग अलग जगहों पे फंसे हैं या एक ही जगह फंसे हैं? कितने लोग हैं आप?
स्टेट है कर्नाटक, तो वहां से मेरी समझ में, मेरे को जितना मालूम है, 700-800 लोग फंसे हुए हैं सूडान में। पूरे सूडान में
ओके।
700-800 हजार लोग के आर पार फंसे हुए हैं।
Okay. All
तो
right.
हर
Prabhu, बहुत
अलग
बहुत
अलग
धन्यवाद.
इलाके में है।
He is saying 700 to 800, but officially the number that we know, at least from the state of Karnataka, is 31. But let me open this up to both Aishwarya Mahadev and to Ratan Sharda. Aishwarya Mahadev, the contention that's being made by Dr. Jaishankar, the MEA folks, and of course people like Tejashwi Surya is this government has rescued stranded Indians from Yemen, from Libya, from Ukraine. So then why are you politicizing this just because there is an election? Let the government and its agencies do their job in evacuating these Indian citizens from Sudan. How do you respond to that?
Good evening, Zaka. I think first and foremost, these Indians there, or the Kannadigas also that we've highlighted, have been there for the past 4 or 5 days without food and water. It was yesterday when the former Chief Minister, Mr. Siddaramaiah, tweeted and saying these are vulnerable communities that have traveled there and they are stuck. Kindly help them. That was when the focus and the attention shifted towards it. That was when the Ministry of External Affairs and, of course, Mr. Jaishankar, with his appalling sort of response, came out to tell us that these things were happening. But please tell me, how much media attention was on this situation before that? One. Second, how many people had established contact to reassure these people stranded there? Two. And third, is it really wrong for a former head of a state to ask the central government for help and assistance for his people who are stranded abroad? There is no politicization. My former CM did not say a war was completely stopped, as a former BJP president did, saying a complete war was stopped to bring back people. This is not politicization. It is appalling that a man, when asked to do his job, turns around and tells a former chief minister of a state that this is appalling. You are politicizing this issue. There is no politicization.
So let me ask Ratan Sharda, the job of any politician, whether it's chief minister or former chief minister or a minister, whatever it is, the job of any politician is to respond to his or her constituents. Constituents reach out, and then the job of the politician is to try and extend help or get the government to extend help. So the Congress is claiming that that's all Siddaramaiah did. There was no need for that rather terse response from the External Affairs Minister saying that this is appalling and you're playing politics. He's, after all, responding to his constituents.
Zaka, a politician is not just responsible for his small constituency, he is also responsible for the nation. You are a chief minister of a state and you know that around 3,000 people are stuck in Sudan. You talk of only 31 people? How parochial can you get? How parochial and how narrow-minded can you be? You are a Congress and All India party is now trying to narrow itself down to a regional party and behaving like a DMK. Karnataka is most cosmopolitan state and people have, and the state has been welcoming all. When you talk of only 31 people or 3,000 and then you make a public tweet giving the location of the person, is that right? Government has done, every government in the past, this government in its own term has done wonderful evacuation, whether Operation Sankat Mochan, Operation Ganga, Operation Rahat, where even foreigners have been rescued. Do you think lack of media attention means lack of government attention? So trying to say that because of that tweet, suddenly government woke up, I think I'm not understood. They have got thousands and thousands of people, a record number of people evacuated. When you talk of only one kind of caste, one kind of people It is nothing but pure parochial politics.
All right. Aishwarya Mahadev, why reduce it just to parochial identities? Just because there is an election coming up. Had that election not been there, would Siddaramaiah have publicly tweeted about this?
Did Congress speak about this when the earlier operations took place? No, they welcomed the government.
Okay. Let Aishwarya respond, yeah.
We don't need any lessons on any evacuation programs because from the Gulf War, and post that also, the UP has done its responsibility. When you talk about a parochial mindset, sir, I will not even engage in that, because if Mr. Siddaramaiah had not spoken about these 31 Kannadigas who are part of his state, who are his people, would you have even known about the plight of the thousands of others? You would not. Would you have even made that contact with them? You would have not. And this is not the first time. Twitter has been an asset for people in order of communication from the time of Ms. Sushma Swaraj onwards. A lot of these responses and these sort of requests have come up, and the government, when it's convenient for them, they say we did this, and the power of social media. Okay. But when an opposition leader raises the voice for his people, it becomes parochial. All right. And so let me remind you, during COVID, what happened? It was each to their own. It was every state for themselves. It was migrants from UP, Bihar, migrants from here, there, whatever, while the central government stayed blank. While Karnataka also offered shelter, Karnataka looked after its own. I do not believe at any point you talk about this larger idea of a parochial mindset, but tell me, would you have voluntarily
So Ratan Sharda, final word. I got to wrap up after that.
The people of what is happening?
Yeah, let him respond.
Absolutely not.
Final word, Ratan Sharda. I got to wrap up after that, Aishwarya. Thank you. Please yield. Yeah, thank you.
The first bit of Siddaramaiah, no Congress leader has spoken of all the 3,000 people. And again, to believe that, because I said every party has done its bit for evacuation, and do you think that government is sleeping till you make a tweet? This is how the government works? Sorry. Government eyes and ears are always open. They have evacuated people as and when, with complete courage, complete commitment. And you keep on speaking for last words only of 31 Kannadigas. That is the problem. 3,000 include Kannadiga. Now, for example, CNN didn't say which state this particular person was on the panel. They said Indian. So what's the harm in that? So that is why I say problem is your over propagandization of every issue, and that is what is going to hurt you, not the government or India.
All right. Okay. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. I want to first go across to Prabhu, who is an Indian national who's stranded in Sudan. I'll also be joined in a moment by Aishwarya Mahadev of the Congress. Ratan Sharda, RSS researcher and author, is also joining us. Prabhu, first things first, आपका स्थिति अभी कैसा है? आपका जो डेली नीड्स हैं, आप वो कैसे मैनेज कर रहे हैं? कहाँ पे फंसे हैं और आप कितने लोग हैं जो फंसे हैं सूडान में?
खाने के लिए तो हम लोग जो इस घर में आए थे, रेंट ले लिया था, तो जब भी हमारे पास ना दुकान खुली हुई थी, तो रोज लाके खाना बना के खाते थे, दुकान सामने ही थी, तो हम स्टार्ट नहीं किया था, हमने रोज लाने का, खाना पका के खाने का, ये काम करते थे हम लोग जी। तो हमें कोई मैसेज नहीं मिली है ऐसा कुछ यहाँ फायर होने वाला है, तो हम कोई मैसेज नहीं मिली हम स्टार्ट करने के लिए। तो एक साथ ही ऐसा फायर होने लगा, तो हम इमरजेंसी पूरा डोर लॉक करना पड़ा, तो हम अंदर ही लॉक होना पड़ा। तो बाहर का सिचुएशन मालूम होने के लिए हमको 4 से 5 दिन लग गया
जी।
तो हमारे पास ना जो भी बचे हुए थे, जो अनाज, उसको ही खाए, पानी पिए। 4 दिन तक हमने खाना तो नहीं खाया था, हमने जो पानी था टोटी में पानी था कुआं में, वो पानी ही पिया सब लोग ने, और बाद में पानी खत्म हो जाने के बाद बहुत परेशानी हुई हमको।
प्रभु ये बताइए कि सरकार की तरफ से कोई कम्युनिकेशन आया है आपके पास? किसी ने रीच आउट किया है? किसी ने ये कहा है कि आपको वहां से इवैक्यूएट करेंगे? और अगर ऐसा मैसेज आएगा तो क्या आप वहां से निकलना चाहेंगे या आप वहीं रहना चाहेंगे जब तक ये वॉर खत्म ना हो जाए?
अभी तो ये चूज करने के लिए हमारे पास तो कोई
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. A major event is on in New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi attended today. The Dalai Lama will attend tomorrow. Needless to say, China is watching. We're talking about the Global Buddhist Summit and India's Buddhist diplomacy. Delegates from scores of countries are attending, and this has religious, diplomatic, and political dimensions. We'll discuss all of it. Also, a killer heat wave is sweeping through Asia. It's especially bad in India, hurting lives and livelihoods. This is not a weather story. It affects you directly. In the UK, people don't want to fund the king's coronation, and the government won't tell them how much it will cost. In Taiwan, the government wants people to learn English to boost the economy. In Latin America, there's a new challenge for the US. After years of coups and control, they face tough questions. All that and more is coming up. The headlines first. Explosions and gunfire rock Sudan's capital, Khartoum, as the second attempt at a ceasefire fails. Nearly 300 people have been killed in 6 days in the fighting between rival factions. After India overtakes China's population, Beijing downplays the numbers, saying quality is as important as quantity. Setback for Indian opposition leader Rahul Gandhi. A Gujarat court rejects his plea in the 2019 defamation case over Prime Minister Modi's surname. Gandhi had requested the court to stay his conviction. Today's ruling means the Congress leader cannot be reinstated as a member of Indian Parliament. Michael Schumacher's family is planning legal action against a German magazine. The magazine conducted an AI-generated interview with him. The former Formula One champion has not been seen in public since his ski accident in 2013. And K-pop star Moonbin found dead at his home. The 25-year-old member of the boy band Astro is suspected to have died by suicide. Faith and diplomacy. You can't think of two things more further apart. One is rooted in culture and belief. The other is all about logic and hard calculations. Yet they have always intersected. India has been trying to perfect this powerful cocktail. How? By using its ancient ties with Buddhism. New Delhi is currently hosting a very important event, the Global Buddhist Summit. And the attendance is impressive. 30 foreign ambassadors, 171 foreign delegates, and 150 Indian Buddhist organizations. The idea is not just to showcase the values of Buddhism, because those are already common knowledge. The idea is to marry those values with present challenges, whether it's war and aggression, or sustainable growth, or technological progress. Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivered an address on the first day of the summit. He said that Buddha's teachings offer solutions to world problems. Listen to this.
आधुनिक विश्व की ऐसी कोई समस्या नहीं है जिसका समाधान सैकड़ों वर्ष पहले बुद्ध के उपदेशों में हमें प्राप्त न हुआ हो। आज दुनिया जिस युद्ध और अशांति से पीड़ित है, बुद्ध ने सदियों पहले इसका समाधान दिया था।
Now, this is a Buddhist gathering, so the obvious question is, where is the world's top Buddhist leader, the Dalai Lama? He's expected to attend day 2 of the summit. That's tomorrow. And rest assured, China will blow a fuse. In 2011, the Dalai Lama had addressed a similar gathering in New Delhi, and Beijing was furious. They cancelled border talks with India soon after. So expect a similar tantrum tomorrow. The Chinese are like the Grinch during Christmas. A, they won't attend the summit themselves. And B, they won't let the Dalai Lama attend it either. Not a single Chinese monk has come to New Delhi. You see, there are two battles playing out here. One is over the Dalai Lama and Tibet, and the second is over the larger Buddhist world. Who gets to lead and shape that world, India or China? That is the contest. Now, first, let me tell you why this battle is important. Buddhism is the 4th largest religion in the world. Around 500 million people practice it. Countries like Cambodia, Thailand, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Laos are Buddhist majority. Others like South Korea and Malaysia have a sizable Buddhist population. Now notice where these countries are located. Southeast and Eastern Asia, the same region that China wants to dominate. It tells you why a communist, atheist regime like China suddenly loves Buddhism. The problem is, China's Buddhism is political. It's about narrative, not faith. It's linked to controlling and dominating the Tibetan population. Hence the problem with the Dalai Lama, and by extension, the problem with India. For Beijing, Buddhism is the means to an end. And that end is appointing its own successor to the Dalai Lama. What about India? For New Delhi, the Dalai Lama isn't just a religious leader, he's also a strategic leverage. In 2011, the Dalai Lama was invited to speak despite protests from China. Same in 2023, the Dalai Lama has been invited despite the expected blowback. India, and that's one part of India's calculations, but the second one is equally important. Yes, the Buddha was born in modern-day Nepal, but he lived most of his life in India. His first sermon was in India. His enlightenment, even his final days. And that's something New Delhi can capitalize on. Basically, brand itself as the cradle and home of Buddhism. How do you do that? By boosting religious tourism, exchanging scholars and students, investing in Buddhist organizations abroad. In a nutshell, do what China can't do. Generate goodwill. The government is already working in this direction. In 2016, the Buddhist Circuit project was announced. It follows the path of the Buddha, starts off in Lumbini, heads to Bodh Gaya in Bihar, then Sarnath, Kushinagar and so on. 21 states are covered in this circuit. It already has 4 international airports and 2 domestic ones. The next step, of course, is to market it, to make it known to the Buddhist world, to get millions of Buddhists to visit India, because nothing influences policies like people. Every day we bring you news of conflicts, economic, military and political. Why do they matter? Because they impact our lives. Also because they appear more dramatic and more urgent. Would you put a heat wave in the same category? Because we have. A deadly heat wave is silently killing lives and livelihoods and impacting more people than we care to acknowledge. The numbers are scary. Almost half of India's workers work outdoors. They are at risk. The loss in GDP is monumental. Even Nepal and China are reporting temperatures above 40 degrees. People are dying. This is not a weather story anymore. It is hurting your health. It is hurting your body and the economy of your country. If you're watching us from Asia, you already know what I'm talking about. Look at this map. From India to Bangladesh, Thailand, even Eastern China, they're all red. In most of these cases, temperatures are shooting above 40 degrees. Records are being broken, and India is among the worst affected. Over 90% of India is experiencing a severe heat wave. And we are only in the month of April. The worst may be yet to come. But already people are dying because of the heat. Many cities are reporting record temperatures. This week, India's meteorological department issued a heat wave alert. Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Sikkim, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, these states saw extreme heat. Prayagraj recorded the maximum temperature. Prayagraj is in India's Uttar Pradesh. It's the country's largest state. Earlier this week, it was reporting temperatures above 44 degrees Celsius. In some cities, schools have been closed. On Sunday, 11 people died in Maharashtra and scores needed medical help. Do you know what happened there? There was a government event. It was held outdoors. The attendees were sitting under the scorching sun, and this led to dehydration, even death. It is so hot that staying outside may put your life at risk. But many Indians don't have a choice. Look at this statistic. Around 49% of Indian workers work outdoors. That translates to over 230 million workers. 23 crore people in India work outdoors. They have no choice but to suffer the scorching heat. And this could be dangerous. Experts have raised an alarm. Indians are extremely vulnerable to heat waves, they say. The soaring temperatures can lead to health risks and food shortages. According to one estimate, 90% of India's population could be at risk. That's more than